That's what elder law attorneys
Good
do.
morning everyone.
Who may not be eligible at this point become eligible so that they can protect their assets for themselves, their spouse, and their loved ones.
Well, it sounds like a really great idea. I suggest you call my attorney, Barry Siegel, and he will be glad to set up an appointment and explain everything.
If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. We're coming on the air right now. I'm just getting set up still. On the air right now. Here we go.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free, dial 888-COCAINE. That's 1-888-COCAINE. And now, here's Steve Kane.
All right, welcome everyone. Yes. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. It's 5 minutes after the hour, Thursday, January 28th, 2021. I'm just getting organized here because before the show, I was doing something I've been actually putting off for a long time, and I started doing it right before the show so I didn't forget. Whoever used this studio I'm in at the radio station is an incredible studio. This is one of the best studios I have ever used, maybe the best. I love this studio, and I like being here at the radio station a lot. But whoever used this studio before me, there used to be another radio station in here. We're on the 5th floor. We have these beautiful windows. When the sun comes up, you can see all the way out over the ocean and all over the town. It's a beautiful view. But whoever used this studio before me came up with some bright idea to cover up the windows with something, and whatever they covered them up with, they taped Scotch tape up there. And these beautiful tinted windows are covered in Scotch tape. I've had a difficult time getting the tape off in the many months I've been here. And then Rich Allen, he gave me some cleaner. Rich Allen is over at the radio station down the hall, gave me some cleaner, and I was scraping tape off the windows, even when the Everybody Knows was playing there at the top. And I didn't finish, but I soaked down a whole section, and as the show goes on, if I can reach over there during the break, or certainly after the show, I'll see if it works. If not, we're going to have to find another solution. So if you're, and the other solution is I'll troll the air to try to find someone who's in the tinting business who, for trade, would like to come in here and just tint these two windows behind me in the radio station in exchange for promoting your tinting business. Okay? So anyway, hey, listen, lots going on. Lots happening. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We are a full week into this Biden regime, and he's spending most of his days putting people out of work. And yesterday he came in with this climate change thing, and he brought in John Kerry, the climate czar. And I bet you more than anyone who's ever had the title czar, John Kerry loves that title more than anything because, one, the czar of the Russias, so it has a Russian connection, pre-communist, but, it's still enough Russia connection that he gets all excited. Ooh, I'm a czar, I'm a czar. And he's and with their climate change garbage as an excuse to do whatever it is they want to do. Let me tell you something. Climate change is not a threat to the United States and our national security or the world's security. And I'll tell you how I was very pleased that people picked up on this with John Kerry. But all of these people that are the hugest supporters of climate change, like John Kerry and all the rest, fly around on private jets. And the reality of it is this. Okay, here's the reality of it. If man-made activities were taking this planet to a position where it would not be able to support human life as we know it, don't you think these people would be turning in their private planes and fly commercial, a jet pool? Of course they would. None of them are doing that. John Kerry not only has a private jet, when he ran for president, I don't know, that was back in 2004, so I don't know what the current count is, if it's more or less or the same, But when John Kerry ran for president, he was talking about this climate change nonsense. And at that time, he had 12 homes around the globe, including a ski lodge and one of those fancy schmancy rich places where people go skiing, like in Vail, Colorado, one of those kind of places. He had a ski lodge that they moved brick by brick, plank by plank, from the highlands of Scotland to the ski resort here in America. So, give me a break. They, of course, they don't believe any of this. They just are using it as an excuse to push through their agenda. And I think most people, well, that aren't liberal, know this. The seas are not rising. The planet is not warming. These are all lies. There's no evidence of this. Of course, the planet is always making changes. There's always climate changes and things in the planet. But I always use Florida as an example because not only am I in Florida, I've lived in Florida almost my entire life. I've lived in Florida since 1982. Came here when I was 11 or 12 to live. I've been coming to Florida since 1976, and this is what I know. And when I listen to these private jet people in the mainstream media talk about climate change, they always point to Florida and talk about rising sea levels in Florida. There are no rising sea levels around Florida. We are a peninsula. I promise you that if the seas were rising, all right, we would know about it. And there is an example that I use, which is a scientific measurement that I've been using for years. In fact, PJ Gladnick, who calls the show sometimes, he's a writer for Newsbusters, a few years back wrote a column about me using this example to show that the sea levels are not rising. They always point to Florida. And there's a, before I tell you my example, that is something that each and every one of you in the listening audience can go and verify for yourself. They point to Florida, they say Miami. There was a story a few years ago when Obama was president in Miami Beach because of the rising sea levels, because remember, Obama was in all of this climate change nonsense, the rising sea levels and all this stuff, there was a story in Miami that because of rising sea levels, residents in Miami Beach actually built a raised sidewalk in expectation of the seas rising. Well, that was a bunch of nonsense. I go down to Miami Beach all the time. My wife's doctors are in Miami Beach. I'm there regularly, and I've been going to Miami Beach for a long, long time. And what had happened is yes, they did build raised sidewalks in this neighborhood in Miami Beach, but if you used rising sea levels, you could get government money to build this new sidewalk. So, of course, they claimed that the seas were rising so they could get the Obama money to build the elevated sidewalks. And that story's, I've debunked that story many times. But the seas are not rising and the globe is not warming. And so far as the sea level rising, this is the example I always use, and it's very simple, and this is a scientific measurement of rising sea levels. Now, I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, spending my days on the Fort Lauderdale beach, and I still go there when I can. My mother still lives in Fort Lauderdale right down the street, and I believe Fort Lauderdale is the best beach in all of Florida. I know other people think this beach is better and that beach is better. I think Fort Lauderdale has always been the nicest beach, not only the nicest beach, but the nicest area with a beach, much nicer than South. Go to South Beach. Oh my gosh, I went to South Beach a couple months ago. Oh my goodness. It's not the South Beach I used to go to. But anyway, this is the the measurement. This is a scientific measurement to show that the sea levels are not rising. If they were rising, we would know it in Florida because we are on a peninsula. One side we have the Gulf of Mexico. The other side, over here where I'm at, we have the Atlantic Ocean. There is a classic movie that I have seen many, many times, Where the Boys Are. You guys, any of you familiar with the film Where the Boys Are? This is a classic film about spring break in Fort Lauderdale. The movie was filmed in 1960. Okay? So we are 61 years ago now. The movie was filmed in 1960 on location in Fort Lauderdale. Okay? And in that movie, throughout the movie, in the beginning and in the end, the beginning credits and the end credits, and throughout the film, they spend their time on Fort Lauderdale Beach. And while there have been some changes to that area, much of it, including landmarks, are still there today that were there 61 years ago when Where the Boys Are was filmed live on location in Fort Lauderdale. When you watch the beginning and end credits, they'll show aerial footage, and even during the film, they're there. The Elbow Room, which is a bar on Fort Lauderdale Beach that has been there since the beginning of time, and it's a good landmark because you can see the Elbow Room, and in front of the Elbow Room is A1A, and you cross the street and you're on the beach. You go to 1960 in this Technicolor film, the Elbow Room, A1A, the beach, and the ocean are in the same place that they are today. Okay. If the seas were rising, the water would be at least closer to A1A and the Elbow Room. And it's not. It's a lie. Okay? The sea levels are not right. If they were, I'd be very concerned. I'm surrounded by the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean where I'm at, where I'm broadcasting from right now. Okay? I wouldn't be worried about, if the sea levels were rising, I wouldn't be concerned about the Scotch tape that some idiot put on the tent on the windows in the studio here. I'd be worried about where I'm going to have to move inland. You know, but go to where, yeah, those of you that are here in South Florida, you know exactly you can do this right now because you can go to Fort Lauderdale Beach today or over the weekend. Or maybe even find an online cam somewhere. I don't know if they have cameras down there on YouTube. So the sea levels are not rising. The globe is not warming. It is a complete fabrication. And, of course, they're making it a health issue and they're making it a security issue. It's just to get their agenda through, and also money, because there's other ways to do taxation, the carbon tax, for example, okay, that they've always been talking about. And if you remember Solyndra, which was that fraudulent company that got all that Obama money in the early days of the Obama presidency, they have all these green companies that they want to pour money into. I'm not opposed to people having Teslas and things like that. I'd like to have a Tesla. I'd love to have that Tesla SUV. It's so cool, but it's too expensive. I can't afford the Tesla SUV. I wish I could. But and the one that I might be able to afford, the car, is just a little too basic for my needs and too small for my family. But with all that being said, I'm not opposed to electric cars or hybrids or someone that wants to put solar panels on their home. You can do all those things. But what concerns me is when they fire 100,000 people in this country under the guise of the public health threat, which we know they do not believe. So I'll take a break, our first break of the day. We'll come back. We'll take some calls and some audio. I'll get on some other issues too. We're not going to talk about the lie of global warming all day, but I want to play some of the audio of John Kerry yesterday, who's a real piece of work. I have no respect for John Kerry. Never liked the guy. And I'm not the only one, okay? He was rejected by the American people in 2004 when he lost, and when he was running for president of the United States. So the country rejected him, okay? Our number's toll-free from anywhere, 1-888-GO-CANE, 1-888-465-2631. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. We'll be back right after this.
Homeowners, would you like to save money each and every
Good morning. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe.
by calling I Will Advisors. That's how, at 954-753-8080.
And Webby, $10 super sticker. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Review your homeowner's policy. I Will Advisors will review your policy at no charge. Most homeowners never review their policy, but it should be reviewed every year. You commercial property owners, same goes for your property insurance policy. So what do you wait?
No, John Kerry. I'll talk about John Kerry when we get back.
Saving money. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080.
This is Steve Kane, and I wanted to share with you some thoughts about why I chose.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Let me see here. Hold on.
My final resting place. I have always been uncomfortable with thoughts of death and dying, but the very first time that I visited the gardens of Boca Raton, I could feel my apprehensions vanish. Just knowing that I'd be spending eternity with my family in such magnificent surroundings lifted my spirits. The gardens of Boca Raton is an all-faith, above-ground cemetery with tranquil surroundings, a place where your loved ones can come and visit you time and time again, remembering and celebrating your life. The gardens have caring professionals available to help you in your time of need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pre-need with 0% financing is available and prevents your family from having to deal with these matters at the time of their grief and sorrow. The gardens of Boca Raton, dedicated to all those who have lived and all those who live today. Let the gardens take care of your family.
I don't think
as they
so.
are taking
It's not
care
really
of
working.
my family. Schedule a tour today. Call 877-PLAN-561 or online at thegardens.com. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WW.
All right, welcome back. 20 after. Yeah, my tape removal project isn't working. I mean, I'll just end up peeling off the tent, so I guess it's not going to work. But listen, if there is anyone out there here in South Florida who does tenting, we'll do a trade deal with you. We'll run spots for you on the show if you can come in here and replace the tent on the studio windows, just these two windows. Because if I continue to try to peel off this, I don't know who would have covered up this beautiful view over there of the ocean and everything else. And what were they doing in here that they they didn't want people to see? I have no idea. All right, anyway, if you do tent, give me a call. All right, 1-888-GO-CANE-1. All right, so Biden in his first week put over 100,000 people out of work that work in the oil business, natural gas, the pipeline construction business. We've been talking about this. And this is just a terrible thing. And John Kerry was in all of his glory pretending to be president yesterday because John Kerry got to take part in a press conference in the White House press briefing room with the sign that says the White House behind him. And you could tell he felt like he was doing a presidential press conference. If I only would have won in 2004, I would have been the president. Let me play this. This is John Kerry yesterday with a message for the 100,000 people, that's 100,000 families that lost these $80,000 to $90,000 a year jobs working in the oil, gas, and pipeline construction industry. Listen to this.
With respect to those workers, no two people are more in this room are more concerned about it, and the President of the United States has expressed in every comment he has made about climate the need to grow the new jobs, pay better, that are cleaner. I mean, you look at the consequences of black lung for a miner, for instance, and measure that against the fastest growing job in the United States before COVID was solar power technician. The same people can do those jobs.
Okay, so if you were working on the Keystone Pipeline, go build solar panels. Yeah, but that factory is in California or Holland, and I'm in Wisconsin. So what? You can do it. What an arrogant SOB. Why don't you go get a job, John Kerry? How about that? This guy, John Kerry, who went to high school, his best friend in high school was Robert Mueller, the former FBI director who was part of the, of course, the fraudulent investigation against President Trump. And he also went to high school with one of the CIA directors. I forgot his name. So, this guy, was unbelievable. And look on YouTube for the video. And this is a very famous video. Go on YouTube. You can find it. Of President Kennedy while he was president on his sailboat. You guys have seen it. He's wearing the jacket, President Kennedy, with the presidential seal. There's this ugly teenager wearing like a blue blazer like Thurston Howell III would wear, and he's got a camera around his neck on this sailboat with President Kennedy while President Kennedy is at the helm. Take a look at that video, and you'll see that strange-looking teenager is John Kerry. John Kerry's so connected, he was sailing around while in high school. My best friend in high school, Robert Mueller, he was sailing around on President Kennedy's yacht with President Kennedy at the helm while President Kennedy was president. And this guy's telling some poor guys that just lost their $80,000 to $90,000 a year a job, go do something else. Why don't you go do something else instead of destroying people's lives because he's destroyed people's lives. Those people have mortgages and car payments and kids, and they don't have some rich sugar mama wife with $1 billion trust coming to her. The Heinz ketchup people. You know, remember his wife, Teresa Heinz? Got all that Heinz ketchup money. It pains me every time I use ketchup because I like Heinz ketchup. It's the best ketchup. And it just, I just always wonder every time I put some ketchup on my French fries or hamburger, is it going into this jerk, John Kerry's pocket a little bit? You never know. I mean, what a bunch of sick, psychopathic, uncaring, insensitive, out of touch people. Oh, go do something else. Go build the windmills. How the hell do you do that? How do you go from working on a construction site to building solar panels and windmills? How do you do that? Where are these factories? And how are you supposed to relocate? This is sick what's going on here. And let me get on my private jet. I'm John Kerry. Yeah, I know. Someone told me get something called Gooby Gone. That's a thing. Gooby Gone will get the tape off the tinted windows. Okay, I'll look on Amazon or something. Gooby Gone? Okay, I'll check that out. All right, our number is toll free 1-888-GO-CANE 1-888-465-2631. Good morning, you're on the radio.
Hello.
Yes, you're on the air.
Hi, Brian. It's Vanessa, Deanna. I'm wondering, since when does the government create jobs in the private sector? They're liars. It doesn't happen.
Well, they can. I mean, there can be like for example, the wall was something that the government was doing, and government road construction. Government can create jobs when they, have projects.
I mean, I even see Trump only as expanding on them. I'm just carrying.
If they really believed what they said about climate change, they would have massive changes in their own jet-setting lifestyle beyond just the jets. But they don't. They don't. So it's nonsense. If I saw like AOC and John Kerry and all these people really live the life of like an Amish person, which is what they're asking us to do, I would say, wow, they at least they believe it. Come on, they're like a minister who's out there preaching the gospel and fidelity and everything else, and is openly going to strip clubs and sleeping with hookers and doing it in front of everybody. Oh yeah, so what? I need my hookers and my strip clubs, but the rest of you, you got to live. It's very similar.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. And they don't understand. See, John Kerry's never worked for anything in his life. He was in Vietnam. Vietnam fell in 1975. Okay, I was 4 years old in 1975. So I was not in Vietnam because I was a baby. How much longer was John Kerry in Vietnam than me, would you guess?
I'm not sure.
Think about this, because his whole thing is, I was in Vietnam. I was in Vietnam. I was 4 when the war in Vietnam ended. How much longer was John Kerry in Vietnam than I was? Take a guess. I know my father was in Vietnam, and he did a tour, which was 13 months.
Right. Okay, maybe that's all he did.
13 months? He did 13. John Kerry in Vietnam served 13 months minus 10. John Kerry was in Vietnam 3 months longer than I was. 3 months. Isn't that amazing? And see, in Vietnam, they had a policy in Vietnam. If you got 3 Purple Hearts, you could get rotated home. 3 Purple Hearts, you get rotated home. John Kerry got 3 Purple Hearts in 3 months, and we even had one of his doctors was with the Swift Boat veterans people back in the 2004 presidential campaign, and we had the doctor on the program that awarded John Kerry one of his Purple Hearts. He signed the paperwork, And John Kerry talked him into it, was like advocating, because he knew once he got that third Purple Heart, he could get rotated home and didn't have to complete a tour. So he was in Vietnam 3 months longer than I was. He ran a scam over there.
Yeah, I've seen documentary of men that were under him, and they did not like him. They didn't think he was a brave person. It was not good for.
We had all those people on the show, and back in 2004, there was one guy we had on the show who was a prisoner of war held by the North Vietnamese. We had him on this program, and he told you know what they did. They would torture these guys and try to get them to sign the confessions. That they were killing civilians. And he told us on this program, while he was a prisoner of war, the North Vietnamese torturers that were holding him prisoner would play John Kerry's testimony in Congress, saying, look, your own guys aren't even with you. Sign the confession. He didn't know who John Kerry was at the time because he wasn't famous. He was in a POW camp. He came to know who he was years later. Yeah, what a lowlife John Kerry is. He's a lowlife.
Yeah. And here Biden's signing up to what now? 25 executive orders. That's got to stop. Does it take an act of Congress? I don't know. They're all Democrats in both spots now, but that's just insanity.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's signing. Half the time he doesn't even know what he's signing.
Yeah. I know. Oh, he said the other day, I don't even know what I'm signing, Biden said. I don't even know what I'm signing. And then he signed it. He said, I don't even know what this is. And then he signed it. He could have been giving Alaska back to Russia so they can drill in Anwar for all I know. I don't know what he was,
Yeah, it's horrible.
It sure is. But I'll tell you this, John Kerry is a lowlife, and they are destroying people's lives, and then they go out and are congratulated for doing it by the mainstream liberal media.
Yeah. I think put Kerry in the category with Blumenthal. They're both about as genuine.
Mm-hmm. And the guy's never worked for anything in his life. Everything's been. I mean, think about it. He went to his best friend in high school was Robert Mueller. He's hanging out with President Kennedy when he was president, and he was a teenager in high school. What the hell?
Yeah, term limits.
All right, hey, listen, appreciate the call. If you're on hold, don't go anywhere. We're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. Back to your calls. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE, 1-888-465-2631. Don't go anywhere.
You covered AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
Brian Craig here. You've heard us talk about the great
Steve Kane Show.
Friendly Tire has on new tires and
Hold on.
used tires. They
Steve
also
Kane
do
Show.
tire repairs. Listen to one of our listeners
Hold
talk
on.
about their experience at Friendly Tire in Margate.
Hey Brian, my name is Mike. Just wanted to call and say thank you. I had a problem with my car. I had a flat tire. It was going down really quick. I'm in Coral Springs. I had to go somewhere close by. They couldn't really fix it. So I remember you guys are talking about Friendly Mike at Friendly Tires. So I said, listen, Mike, I need a couple of tires. I told him my son. He goes, I got them. I go, I'll see you tomorrow. They were really cheap. I go over there, and Mike said, which tires do you want to replace? They look relatively new. I said, they are. I just got a big hole in that one. And they said they couldn't be fixed. He goes, pull your vehicle in. I pulled the vehicle in. He took the tire off. He pulled out the plug that the guy in Coral Springs put in there, and he heat shielded it. He kind of patched it or whatever they call it.
Welcome, everyone. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Click that notification bell if you don't mind.
But the guy in Coral Springs wanted $500 for 2 tires. I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you guys. I love you guys. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Give Mike at Friendly Tire a call right now. We'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Don't waste time going anywhere else. You will never find prices as low as Friendly Tire in Margate.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Veterans and spouses of veterans.
Gooby Gone is sold. Okay, I can get this anywhere.
Including long-term care benefits. Call attorney Barry Siegel.
Adhesive remover.
And find out what benefits are available to you. With offices in Boca Raton and Fort Lauderdale, call toll free 1-855-FLA-3782. 1-855-FLA-3782.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WWN.
All right, welcome back. Well, someone in the YouTube live chat, they told me to remove this tape off of the tinted windows to get something called Gooby Gone. And I looked it up. I can buy this anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to pick up some Gooby Gone today, and then tomorrow I'll be trying to clean the tape off these windows. I bet you Dan Bongino, Mark Levin, and Rush Limbaugh don't clean their own windows and scrape tape off, but I do. That's right. That's right. I bet Hannity doesn't either while he's telling you how he's a man of the people. All right, let's go to our phones. 1-888-GO-CANE-1. We're talking about the heartless John Kerry telling these oil workers, gas workers, and construction workers, the 100,000 that Biden put out of work this week, hey, you can go build solar panels. Yeah? Man never worked a day in his damn life, and he takes an $80,000, $90,000 a year job away from 100,000 people. Go do something else. Yeah, easy for you to say. You're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian. This is John in Wellington.
Hey, John.
Some dim be gone. That'll help.
Dim be gone. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I think that's called the cross. They run like hell from it.
Or employment.
Or garlic. Yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to remind you and your listeners that these same leftists that are putting tens of thousands of people out of work, back during the Obama administration when nobody could find a job, these Dems were telling people that unemployment is a good thing, that you can spend more quality time with your family and work on your hobbies. Find a new hobby like photography. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But painting gives artists time to do their art. Yeah. They don't get it.
After that, I don't know, but
they don't get it. They don't get it.
Well, they get their paychecks, so they're happy that.
Well, John Kerry, Rush calls him a gigolo, and and that's basically what he is. He was born rich, but he married this billionairess, Teresa Hines, and with his 12 mansions around the world, it's easy for him. I've never seen something so heartless. Go build solar panels, he says. What the hell?
Yeah, well, that's what you get.
Think about it. This guy, it's not unusual for someone like him to be out of touch, but everything he has, like Mayor Pete and all the rest, has been handed to them. At least AOC worked at that bar for a little while.
Said she did.
Yeah, she worked there. When she was running for Congress the first time, one of the waitresses gave an interview, I think it was to the New York Post, about how she she didn't like sharing the tips with the servers, and then she was greedy on the tips. So she worked at the bar, but I think it was basically just a beer and wine bar. I don't think she could make like a mixed drink or anything.
Well, like I said last week, if you want to go green, that's great. Windmills or solar panels or whatever. It's like you said, where are these factories? Where are these jobs?
There's a lot of, listen, I know a lot of people have solar in their homes and things like this and get solar, but it's a very tiny little minute thing. And even if there is a solar factory in California somewhere, if you're a guy that just lost his construction job in Wisconsin, how are you going to move your whole family out there and then to get this solar panel job that that's not even your trade? You don't know how to build. You're a pipe fitter. How do you go out and build solar panels all of a sudden? All right, take care, man. A lot of wind in the background. You're on the radio. Good morning.
Brian, good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. What's your name?
Man, Dennis. How you, bud? I wanted to get on the phone and holler at you this morning because you started talking about John Kerry. Well, being from North Carolina, we know a lot about this skunk, let me tell you. And I know it's a family show, so I'll keep it clean. He is 100% perfect for Mr. Biden. They're both China lovers. They destroyed, John Kerry single-handedly destroyed Philcrest Cannon, a huge company in Kannapolis.
What kind of company was it? What kind of company was it?
It was a cotton. They dealt with cotton, so they dealt with bath towels, linens, things like that.
What was his beef with them? Why did he put them out of business?
It became something where once we found out, of course, the whole state just threw him out of here. He was really from somewhere else, and like you said, he got lucky and met his wife. And
are you sure you don't have him mixed up with John Edwards, his running mate in 04? Because John Kerry was the senator from Massachusetts. He's so pathetic. When he was running for president, okay, John Kerry, and he's got that, he's the way he talks, it's like a British accent, that's called the Boston Brahmin accent. You know what I mean? It's kind of snooty. He's got you ever notice it sounds almost like Major Winchester on MASH. And when John Kerry is such a pathetic man, okay, with his billions and all this stuff, when he was running for president in 04, people were questioning his manliness because of his opposition to the war in Iraq. And he was at one of the ski resorts that he hangs out at, and he had the entire press corps with him because he was the nominee for the Democrat Party for President of the United States. He went to the ski shop to buy something, and he bought something with about 80 reporters with him. Before I tell you, what do you think he bought on camera?
I can only imagine.
It was for skiing. There's two things. He did this twice with two different things. This item was for skiing. What do you take a guess? He went to the store to buy something to go skiing with 80 reporters with television cameras, and this was on TV. What do you think he went and bought? And when I tell you, I'm not kidding, but guess, what do you think? He's going skiing, John Kerry. His manlyhood was questioned because of his opposition to the war in Iraq, and he went to the store to buy something with 80 reporters with television cameras.
And it sure wasn't a Bible.
No, it was at the ski, and okay. I'm going to tell you what it is, and you guys out there in the listening audience, I'm not making this up. He bought a jock strap. I'm not kidding, because he's so manly, his package is so large, he's got to strap it on. And he did it on television. Can you believe? Oh, man, yeah.
Maybe that's for his nose.
I'm not making that up. Another thing he did... I'm serious. I'm not kidding. He bought a jock strap. That's right. Oh, he's such a man, he's got to strap it on. Oh, yeah. Then another time, a lot of people, because he's so snobby, I am not kidding. That is a true story. Okay? Another time, people were talking about how he was out of touch, John Kerry, because with that fake British accent, He went into a store to buy a fishing license. And he walks into the store. This is when he was running for president in 04, John Kerry. He had with him the same press corps that watched him buy the jockstrap. He goes up to the guy, and you know how he talks. He talks like he's a member of the English royal family. He goes up to the person at the store and says, "Is this where I get me a fishing license?" All of a sudden, he's talking like he's with this southern accent. Yeah, like he said, Is this here where I buy me one of those fishing licenses? And I imagine he had some dialect coach from Hollywood that works with actors that teaches them how to do different accents. Wow, he said fishing. Oh, I'm going to vote. He probably had James Carville, right, was probably his dialect coach. He said fishing. Oh, he's a man of the people. He said fishing. Not, is this where I might procure a license which would permit me to fish in your community? Is this where I get me a fishing license? He is a jerk from head to toe and a phony fraud.
I don't see how in the world they sleep at night knowing that they let all those people without a job just sleep like it ain't nothing. Yeah,
that breaks my heart. When I see those guys, that is awful. And those are high-paying jobs. Those are high-paying construction jobs. $80,000-$90,000 a year. That's a lot of money, man. Not to John Kerry, $80,000-$90,000 a year is cigar money to John Kerry.
Yes, that's a lifestyle change. I was telling my wife the other day, $90,000 a year. She works at a local grocery store, and I work at an auto parts store. So we don't make, between the both of us, we don't come close to that.
I know how it is. I do a radio show, I do a podcast, and you think I do all this just because I'm, I got to work. I mean, I have, and you hear me do I have my Ford Explorer, which is an '03 Explorer with almost 190,000 miles on it. I drove to work today. You know what I mean? I know I got a great job and everything. I'm not complaining, but John Kerry does not understand what life is all about.
Well, let me tell you, between this and the podcast, you keep up the good work and the good fight. We really need you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, listen, we'll take our last break of the first hour. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. A listener tagged me on the Twitter yesterday morning. They, using the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, they went to MyPillow.com and they bought the mattress topper. Now, this MyPillow mattress topper, I got tagged on Twitter and I was showing it to my wife. My wife's thinking about buying this because it turns your whole mattress into a big MyPillow. And when you use the promo code KANE and with the MyPillow mattress topper, you save 30%. And they send you 2 for free standard MyPillows to put on it. And you can go to MyPillow.com. It's incredible. You save 30% with the promo code KANE. And actually, I did talk to another listener at one of Attorney Barry Siegel's workshops that we did before COVID, and he had gotten the MyPillow mattress topper, and he was at the Attorney Barry Siegel Living Trust workshop that I was at, and he had back problems. And he told me his back was hurting. He says, "I'm leaving here. I'm going home to lay down on my bed with the MyPillow mattress topper." He says it does wonders for my back. And 30% off when you use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at MyPillow.com. Every special you see at MyPillow.com you can take advantage of with the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout. All right, we'll be right back after this. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Don't go anywhere.
Steve Kane. I'm sitting here with my good friend and my attorney, Barry Siegel of the Siegel Law Group. Barry, you offer a service called elder law, and since I'm getting up there in years, I'd like to find out exactly what that is and when and if I need it.
Sure, Steve. Elder law, think of it as asset protection. Now, as we age and get into our retirement years, the number one concern or threat to our assets is the cost of long-term care. Care either at home, in an assisted living facility, or in a nursing home can be very, very expensive, and it can eat away at your assets. It can even deplete your assets to nothing. Imagine if you lose all your assets, you have to go into a facility and your spouse at home has nothing left. Or you may end up not having any assets left to leave to your loved ones. So with elder law, we are able to look at different government benefits that may be available to you or your spouse, such as Medicaid or veteran benefits. And even if you don't think that you're eligible for these benefits, you'd be surprised. That's what elder law attorneys do, is we help people who may not be eligible.
Yeah, John Kerry with a jock strap. Are you kidding me?
So that they can protect their assets for themselves, their spouse, and their loved ones.
Well, it sounds like a really great idea. I suggest you call my attorney, Barry Siegel, and he will be glad to set up an appointment and explain everything to you in even more detail. His number, toll-free, 1-855-FLA-3782. Mention that you heard it on the Steve Kane Show.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show, live in Morning Drive on 1470 AM and 95.3 FM.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We could talk about what a lowlife John Kerry is all day. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. And if you have any comments on John Kerry, you're welcome to call. You know, there was a story yesterday. I found this interesting about this Enrique Tarrio from the Proud Boys, the Proud Boy leaders. You know, I have stayed away from all that kind of stuff. I don't know too much about the Proud Boys other than that they seem to get in trouble all the time. And that's not what I'm about. That's not what MAGA's about. That's not what conservatism is about. That's not what President Trump is about. And I've been very suspect of them since I first heard of them. Now, Gavin McInnes is a funny guy, and I know he left the Proud Boys. But this story that came out yesterday, which I believe is true, even though he has denied it, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, because I know a lot of you guys have followed this person in particular. I mean, I remember Richie the bus driver several weeks ago even said, well, the Proud Boys, you don't like the Proud Boys? They're run by this Hispanic guy. This is in Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire. Proud Boy leader denies new report that claims he was a law enforcement informant. Proud Boys leader Henry Enrique Tarrio is denying a report that claims he was an informant cooperating with federal and local law enforcement agencies several years ago. According to an exclusive report published by Reuters on Wednesday, Tarrio's own lawyer described his undercover work and said he had helped authorities prosecute more than a dozen people in various cases involving drugs, gambling, and human smuggling. Reuters goes on to cite statements from former federal prosecutor, an FBI agent, a federal judge, along with a transcript of a 2014 federal court proceeding noting there's no evidence Tarrio has cooperated with authorities since then, however. No evidence that he, but he was. They have a lot of statements that he was. Tarrio said something very strange. Very strange. He says that he had no recollection on Tuesday. I don't recall any of this. I don't recall is an old lawyer's tactic. They ask you a question, and you say you don't recall. That's not perjuring yourself if you're lying, even under oath, because a recollection cannot be proven. And then when they give evidence, oh yeah, that refreshes my recollection. Now I remember, right? That don't recall. When Bill Clinton gave his Paula Jones deposition, he couldn't recall a damn thing, right? Reuters reports that law enforcement officials and court transcripts contradict Tarrio's denial. Tarrio, who was arrested in 2012, acknowledged his fraud sentence had been reduced from 30 months to 16 months, but according to the report, insisted that leniency was provided only because he and his co-defendants helped investigators clear up questions about his own case. He said he never helped investigate others. Reuters also spoke to a former federal prosecutor from Tarrio's trial, and she told Reuters that he cooperated with local and federal law enforcement to aid in the prosecution of those running other separate criminal enterprises, ranging from running marijuana grow houses in Miami to operating pharmaceutical fraud schemes. So this guy's, according to the prosecutor and these others, he denies it. He doesn't recall it. He was an informant on a lot of really big cases. Tarrio's then lawyer said in court that his client had worked undercover in numerous investigations, one involving the sale of anabolic steroids. Sorry, it's early, guys. Another regarding wholesale prescription narcotics. A third targeting human smuggling. His former lawyer, said that he helped police uncover 3 marijuana grow houses and was a prolific cooperator. In the smuggling case, Tarrio, at his own risk and an undercover role, met and negotiated to pay $11,000 to members of that ring to bring in fictitious family members of his from another country, his former lawyer said in court. In an interview, the lawyer said he didn't recall details about the case, but added the information I provided to the court was based on information provided to me by law enforcement and the prosecutor. And it goes on. This is a huge story. And he was if I'm correct, I don't follow the Proud Boys, okay? I'm not interested in the Proud Boys. I don't like this getting in fight business at things. I don't support any type of violence at all. And my observation has been that they go to these things looking for trouble, and it'll find you if you're looking for it, So I've never been a supporter of theirs. But isn't Tarrio the guy that was before the Capitol breach happened? He arrived in Washington for the events and was picked up and tossed out. Like he was arrested before the thing even happened. Am I wrong about that? Is that true or not? I don't recall because I don't follow them too much, but I think that was him. And if he was working with federal agencies on so many cases back then, isn't it possible that he has been working with them all along, and that his role? And I'm throwing this out because I know a lot of you guys follow this more than I do. When I say this, I mean the Proud Boys and this guy. Is it possible that even as the leader of the Proud Boys, that he is still working with the feds as an informant in his role? And maybe, and how did he seek out this role? Did he seek it? Because I know it was Gavin McInnes's organization. He left it and said goodbye to it and everything. And now this guy's running it. Was he maybe even placed there to be an informant? I mean, this is a big story, and it's very strange. And I find it interesting that they made sure that he was not a part of what happened at the Capitol. Right? As much that's becoming a bigger and bigger story. There's lots of arrests, and it's only a matter of time. You know, there was with the Capitol breach. They've arrested some militia people from one of the well-known militias. I'll look it up in a second. I think I know, but I want to make sure I get the right name because I don't want to put out the wrong militia name. But they have several people from one of the militias that organized to go there for the Capitol breach. So at some point, there's going to be a big press conference either with the FBI or federal prosecutors that detail their conclusions after they've done all these arrests and investigations. They have thousands of hours of videotape, hundreds of different video that they've taken from people's cell phones that they're combing through and doing a huge roundup of people. And we're going to find out exactly what they believe happened that led up to the breach at some point. But it's interesting that this guy has been a federal informant on multiple high-profile cases in apparently different parts of the country, and that they got him out of there before the events happened. When he arrived in town, they picked him up. You know, it's like they want to preserve their informant, and they're probably not happy that this story came out, because you got to ask, who has he been working for? Has he been working for the Proud Boys, or has he been working for the feds? And if this story is true, that's being widely reported in many sources, and Reuters went out and did a lot of sourcing on this and got a lot of quotes. A judge, a prosecutor, the guy's own former attorney even confirming it. So it sounds as if, to me, it's true. And if it's true, that would sound like he's still working for them as an informant. And that's... that's why, a lot of people get wrapped up in these different groups. You've got to be careful what groups you get connected to, okay? What groups you follow, what groups you support. Don't just blindly support someone because they got a MAGA hat on or say something positive about Trump. A lot of times, you don't know who they are, what they're about, or what their true motivations are. And this one is just very, very, very strange, and probably one of the biggest stories that's come out about what's going on inside the I don't want to say the MAGA movement, because I don't consider the Capitol breach and these things the MAGA movement, even though MAGA is being stained with all of it and they're using it against us. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. That to me was just a shocking story. After the break, I'm going to get into some other issues, though, but feel free to call in about issues I brought up here in the first hour as the show continues into hour number 2. Our number is toll-free 1-888-GO-CANE 1-888-465-2631. And those of you that are new to the program, we are here live on the radio Monday through Friday from 6 until 9 a.m. And here in South Florida, and that's Monday through Friday, and overnight, 7 nights a week, midnight until 6 a.m. And you can listen to us on the radio from midnight until 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on AM 1470, 96.9 FM, 95.3 FM, and you can also listen to us on the iHeartRadio app and the TuneIn app, searching for us by our station call letters, WWNN, 2 W's, 2 N's. And we're always live streaming on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube live streaming every day, live on the air. Brian Craig on YouTube. And I also upload my podcast and many other videos and a lot of other content on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig, on the YouTube. All right, good morning. You're on the radio.
Brian,
Yeah, you're on the air.
this is Arthur out of Paris, Texas.
Hey, Arthur, what's up?
Hey, do you remember that when the leader of Proud Boys went through the White House?
I remember this Proud Boy leader. I don't follow the Proud Boys because they seem to me to be troublemakers. I don't want anything to do with them. I don't like troublemakers. I don't like people that get in fights. I'm a turn the other cheek guy. And I've not been happy with what I've seen come out of them. But I think it's interesting that we find out that their leader has been an FBI informant.
Yeah, I think that's pretty bad. If you look at it, you look what he said that he had an email from the president.
Well, I don't know, but it looked if he was an FBI informant back then, I think it's safe to assume he still is, and he has a very prominent role as a leader of this Proud Boys movement. And I'll tell you, it was widely reported that the FBI had alerted Capitol Police that they had some intelligence that there could be an incident on Inauguration Day at the Capitol, and I'm wondering if this guy was the source.
Of course it is. Well, look at what happened, right? He got arrested for having a gun, and then he bailed out. But he's already been charged with felonies before. If you have a felony and you have a gun, you don't get out.
Yeah, and in D.C., that's a no-gun zone, D.C. too. So it's even a more heightened crime to be in the illegal possession of a firearm in the District of Columbia. So and I don't know where he's at now. I don't know if he's a free man or not. But I would say that his role as their leader has been part of his informant role, it would seem to me. I find this fascinating because I really want to know what happened at the Capitol. I'm not just doing, what's going on now in Washington is a kangaroo court in this impeachment trial. It's just a partisan political event to show off to the liberal constituents, the never-Trumpers out there. But I want to really find out what happened, and this is probably one of the biggest breaks in the story that we've gotten so far. Because if there was any planning going on in that breach, he would have known about it.
Yeah, of course he would have. But that's how they get it, right? They arrest him, and that's just it's a cover so that they can pull him in and talk with him,
and keep him out of the big crime. Right, because then he doesn't have to go do the big crime, which is the breach. Yeah. It's to pull him in to get the information, but it's really about making sure he doesn't commit a more serious crime that they can't, help him out with.
I think if I was anybody in the White House, I think that one issue right there would be the one that would worry me the most.
Well, this is so far as the thing I was talking about with. I was talking the other day about the walk away guy, and I'm curious about him. But this is the most high. This guy was connected to the breach, and this is to me is a very fascinating story, and it's being widely reported, but no one's connecting it in the press that I've seen with what I'm talking about yet. Yeah. Hey.
It depends on what they're going to do with the impeachment. It depends on if they're going to...
The impeachment is just, that's just a television event. It's meaningless, the impeachment trial. It's meaningless. It's just to show how, it's just to show how much they hate Trump. It has, my goodness, they're not even going to have the judge there. They're going to have a senator there. It's not even it's not even really an impeachment trial. You can't have a trial without a judge.
Yeah.
And you can't, and you can't have, and the senators can't be judges in a trial like this. It's not a trial. If it was a trial, it would have a judge there, and John Roberts is refusing to do it. That's why they got Leahy doing it. That's not a trial.
I hate to be an ageist person, but he's too damn old to be in there.
Well, he went, yeah. Hey, listen, I got to run. I'm a little late for the top of the hour break, but thanks for your call. Listen, if you're on hold, don't go anywhere. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
You covered AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
Be right back.
You've heard Steve Kane talk about the great work and the incredible prices at Dr. Gupta's Brighton Dental. Richie the bus driver called Steve Kane on the air and told him about his experience at Brighton Dental.
Good morning. I have to talk about Brighton Dental because your sponsor is a miracle worker. I broke my tooth. I fractured it and went backwards in my mouth.
Oh, my God.
Front top tooth. I put it back into the socket. It felt like it was falling out. I had pain. I couldn't even eat spaghetti. And I was going to a wedding in New York 2 days later, and I said, what am I going to do, you know? And the dentist here wanted to charge me $120 just to look at it and to tell me he couldn't do anything. I went to Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. I traveled 139 miles. I would do it again in a heartbeat, each way. Okay? The man sat and worked on my tooth for 2 hours, put a pin in it, put it back in place. I could eat anything I want. He said it was temporary. He did such a great job. It feels like permanent. I have no pain. I can eat anything I want now. And the fact of the matter, this is what really was unbelievable. I was getting on the bus to go to the reception, okay?
Hello?
In New York City. He knew I was in New York. The phone rings. Who do you think's on the line?
Dr. Gupta.
Right. He wants to see if everything is going okay and if I'm in any pain. The guy is unbelievably wonderful. I mean, thank you so much. I wouldn't have been able to eat. I wouldn't have been able to go. I would have looked like a pumpkin.
Everybody needs a great dentist, and of course, for you Steve Kane listeners, you have one, Dr. Gupta, and he's been over there at Brighton Dental. He takes really good care of you. He's very conscientious. He's,
Yeah, I just wanted them to know if you need a dentist, and the guy is so good at what he does. He's so gentle, and I mean, I don't like dentists. This guy is this top shelf, and I'm going down to him to get it permanently put in. But right now, I don't have any pain. I can eat anything I want. Incredible.
Take Richie the bus driver's advice and go see Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. Call 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633.
If you suffer with diabetes, there's a 25% chance that you'll develop a foot ulcer that can lead to severe health consequences, including amputation. At the sole authority, at little or no cost,
what do you mean?
Can receive your very own therapeutic shoes and custom inserts. Medicare recipients are entitled to one pair of quality diabetic shoes
because they get 2 more senators each.
Call the sole authority today, 954-597-7060.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's well. I don't have time. Okay. Bye.
By Attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets?
That was Steve.
Avoid grouping. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll free 1-855-FLA-3782.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. Call the show toll free. Dial 1-888-GO-KANE-1. That's 1-888-GO-KANE-1. And now, here's Steve Kane.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Sorry for the long break. Steve sent me a text to call him during the break, and I was calling him, and he was calling me, so we were canceling each other out, and I played an extra spot or so I could get with him on the phone. All right, let's go back to our phones, though. I brought up a lot of things in the first hour. You're welcome to comment on any of them before I bring up some new stuff. Our number, toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. You're on the air. Good morning.
Hi, sir. This is Scott from Illinois. On the Proud Boys thing, there's 2 guys, John and Max, that are serving 4 years in New York, in upstate New York, over a fight with Antifa that lasted 17 seconds. When the police got there, the Antifa guys said to the police, I won't say the word, but pigs. And the police said, okay, and everybody left. But then it was found out, the mayor found out who these 2 guys in particular were. But what no one talks about is, John, they say racist this and blah, blah, blah. But John Kingsman's wife is black.
Who's, yeah.
She did an interview with Gavin not long ago, And when Gavin took her, he's been taking her up to the upstate New York to see John. And but she says that anytime the media is around, they won't give her the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, you know, it doesn't fit their narrative, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, wait a minute. So I listen here. I don't care who, you know. I don't go around getting in fights. Okay. So I'm not going to defend anyone. You know, I'm not going to defend anyone. I don't know the details. We're not talking about what happened with some Antifa guys when these guys got into a fight somewhere. Okay. Well, we're finding out. Excuse me. We're finding out that their leader has been an FBI informant. It was confirmed by his former attorney, a federal judge, and a federal prosecutor. And I find it interesting that this high-profile group that seems to be wherever trouble's coming, that their leader's been an FBI informant. You don't find that interesting, odd, and suspicious?
Yes, I do find that odd, and that's why as soon as your program's over, I'm going to go listen to Get Off My Lawn from...
Well, I don't know. He may not know about any of this because the guy is denying it. The guy's denying it. You know, listen, you got to be careful. I don't know too much about. I know who Gavin McInnes is, and he's very funny and talented, and I have no beef with him. But this is new information that I don't think people knew that has been leaked out. And and when you have someone that is in such a because McInnes left Proud Boys long ago. When you have someone so prominent leading this group, and then he was picked up in Washington before the breach happened, you know, and then we hear that the FBI had information that something was going to happen. That tells me he's probably still an informant. And you got to wonder how much of what he does is their bidding. So when you go around defending the actions of these guys, I think you need to reflect on that and find out what really is motivating their actions. You know?
Just one last thing is the problem is the media is disproportionately overplaying any of the actions of the Bad Boys guys. Meanwhile,
violence is always wrong. Violence is always wrong. Violence is always wrong. There's no excuse for violence. I don't care who's doing it. I don't care what somebody else does. You know, when I give you an example. This is an example I often use because it's a good one. During the O.J. Simpson trial, okay, the evidence came out, and I couldn't believe he did it. I didn't even believe he did it when he was on the Bronco chase. I mean, I was a fan of O.J.'s, but when the evidence came out, it became painfully obvious he did it. And black callers would call us on the air every day and say, yeah, he did it, but white people have been getting away with killing black people for hundreds of years. You know, this one another fallacy is absurd. It doesn't matter what Antifa does. It doesn't justify someone else's violence. Okay. Violence is always wrong and should not be made. You shouldn't be making excuses for it. But hey, listen, thanks for the call. You're on the air. Good morning.
How you doing, Brian?
All right. What's going on?
This is Lester. Hey, man, you remember a while back that said the FBI was notified about the riot at the Capitol and never did nothing about it? So this guy you talking about, he might have been hooked up with it. That's why it never went out.
Well, what the story was is that the FBI had notified the Capitol Police the day before that they had gathered intelligence that there might be an incident during the inauguration. Yeah. And the Capitol Police didn't act on that information. And I'm telling you, I'm thinking they got the intel from this guy who they picked up when he got to D.C.
Because he was probably part of the riot.
Well, you got to ask who's he really working for? Is he really working for this group, or is he working for the feds?
You figure the FBI don't want to, they're working with the Democrats because they don't want to. Everything for the Democrats, so that's why they did it.
Yeah, but I find it to be a huge story, and I want to find out what's about it, and I find it interesting, his answer. He doesn't recall that. Well, he doesn't recall it. He didn't say no. I've never been an informant for anyone, I'm not, because I haven't been, I don't say, well, I don't recall being an informant. That's a strange response.
I bet you the judge didn't set no bond button and let it go, huh?
What's that?
Because everybody went to court.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. All right. Hey, listen. Thanks for the call. Take care, man. Listen, we're going to take our first break of the second hour so we can be on time. I'm sorry, short segment, but I want to be on time. And we'll bring up some other issues. But anything I brought up this morning, brought up a lot of issues. You are welcome to call in on anything I brought up on the air so far as I get into other issues. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE, 1-888-465-2631. We'll take our break and be right back. Do not go anywhere.
Covered AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
This is Steve Kane, and I wanted to share with you some thoughts about why I chose the Gardens of Boca Raton to be my final resting place. I have always been uncomfortable with thoughts of death and dying, but the very first time that I visited the Gardens of Boca Raton, I could feel my apprehensions vanish. Just knowing that I'd be spending eternity with my family in such magnificent surroundings lifted my spirits. The Gardens of Boca Raton is an all-faith, above-ground cemetery with tranquil surroundings, a place where your loved ones can come and visit you time and time again, remembering and celebrating your life. The gardens have caring professionals available to help you in your time of need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pre-need with 0% financing is available and prevents your family from having to deal with these matters at the time of their grief and sorrow. The Gardens of Boca Raton, dedicated to all those who have lived and all those who live today. Let the Gardens take care of your family as they are taking care of my family. Schedule a tour today. Call 877-PLAN-561 or online at thegardens.com. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
Do you think you've come in contact with someone who has coronavirus? Steve Kane's wife Lori did, and she went to Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs to find out if she has coronavirus.
So I came into contact with somebody who tested positive for COVID, and I was scared, and I needed results right away, so I went to Any Lab Test Now in Coral Springs. It was great. I didn't want to have to stay in line for 2 hours and have a swab stuck down my nose into my brain. It was very pleasant. I made an appointment. They got me in within the hour. I was out of there within 20 minutes. Thank goodness the test was negative, and I can go back to work tomorrow. They also tested me for the antibodies, and I haven't been exposed. So do what I did. Go over to Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. They give great rates for Steve Kane listeners, and tell them we sent you.
It's worth 15 minutes of your time to have peace of mind and know that you and your family are safe. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs is located at 955 North University Drive on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood near the Coral Square Mall. You can call them at 954-906-5983. 954-906-5983. Any Lab Test Now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza where the Western Beef is, south of Palmetto Park Road and north of Hillsboro. Call them at 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WWN.
All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Yes, Steve called me during the last break we were talking. And, you know, the Democrats have been talking for as long as I can remember, but now it's becoming more of a possibility, and that is D.C. statehood and Puerto Rican statehood. And there are 3 reasons to do this, okay? 3 reasons to do this. I don't know, and by the way, they're not the only U.S. territories. We also have Guam and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So if they make Puerto Rico, D.C. is probably unlikely to get statehood. The reason that is because, you know, they do have a city government in D.C., but they have to answer to a congressional committee. And if they became their own state, they'd be bossing around the Congress, you know, and I don't think the Congress wants that. But the idea of Puerto Rico becoming a state, the U.S. Virgin Islands becoming a state, Guam, that is very, very possible. There's 3 reasons they want to do it. The two are the most obvious. The first and most obvious reason is they would each get 2 U.S. senators. So right now we have 50 states and 100 senators. Puerto Rico would get 2 U.S. senators. And I think it's safe to assume they'd be Democrats. And if they made D.C. a state, they'd get 2. So that'd be 4 more Democrat U.S. senators. And Virgin Islands and Guam, probably the same thing. So that's why that's the first reason they're doing it, and the big one. Because that would be almost impossible for us to have any type of victory in the Senate if they got 4 more lifelong Democrat Senate seats. So that's the first reason and the main reason. Secondly, they would also both get members of the House of Representatives. You know, there's only the House of Representatives, no matter how many states there are, only has 435 members. Okay? That's the rule. And so Puerto Rico would get some new House members. I don't know how many. It's based on population. They wouldn't get enough, even of D.C., they wouldn't get enough House members to make a meaningful change in the House of Representatives. But they would gain electoral college votes. The way the electoral college works would be reflective of that. So they would have more. They would have a stronger electoral college path in the presidential elections if these liberal places became states. And I don't think Puerto Rico statehood is not that popular in Puerto Rico. I've been to Puerto Rico many times. You know, our listener cruises have been to Puerto Rico. I love Puerto Rico. I was once there on a trip for 2 weeks, and it was a great time. 2 weeks in Puerto Rico, and I did not want to leave. It was during the middle of the summer, and it was very hot. But it's great there. But statehood is not popular in Puerto Rico. They still have a lot of people there that want to be independent. Remember, we took Puerto Rico from Spain during the Spanish-American War in 1898, and we never gave it back. So we conquered it and we kept it. So there's a big the population down there isn't so crazy about becoming a state as people might think. I know in Washington the Democrats are crazy about the idea because they want the 2 senators more than anything else. I knew there's going to be a big move for it. I don't think they'll get it. I just don't think they'll get it. The process for a territory to become Washington, D.C. is not even a territory. So the process for D.C. to become a state is a multi-year-long process. Same goes in Puerto Rico. And they're closer, though, because they're already a territory. And it would involve a lot of things, including a Puerto Rican-wide vote. They would have to have a vote in Puerto Rico, and there's so many people in Puerto Rico that do not even want to be a part of the United States. I think it would not pass in Puerto Rico, but that's what the Democrats want, and they want it so they can take over. They can take over the Senate. That's right, and get a benefit in the Electoral College too. That's the way, because each state has as many electors to the Electoral College as they do members of the House of Representatives. Whatever number of House of Representative members to your state, that's how many electors you have in the Electoral College. So that helps them too. They get a bit of a advantage there, and they'll take something away from some other states, you know. And that is that would be a scary thought if Puerto Rico, even just Puerto Rico itself, forget about Washington, D.C., if just Puerto Rico became a state, it would mess everything up for us for a long time. So no, we do not want that to happen. And you know, Puerto Rico is beautiful. I've been all over the Caribbean, and Puerto Rico is the nicest, most beautiful place in all of the Caribbean because it's part of the United States, right? There's no place nicer than Puerto Rico in all of the Caribbean, and I just don't think they want to be a state. But the Democrats are always looking for some unfair advantage to have over Republicans, and that's what they're getting out of that. Now, AOC gave an interview with Chris Hayes. Let me play a clip of it, just a little bit of it, because a little bit of AOC goes a long way. Here's AOC, Chris Hayes, yesterday.
Yeah, you know, I actually sense a profound difference between the Republican caucus of last term, the 115th Congress, and the Republican caucus of this term, that we are now, a few weeks into at this point. And that difference was that it really felt that last term, the Republican caucus was one of extreme fealty to Donald Trump. There were some that were true believers, others that simply remained quiet out of cowardice and out of fear of the president's retribution. But this term, there are legitimate white supremacist sympathizers that sit at the heart and at the core of the Republican caucus.
Okay. Yeah, little AOC goes a long way. I don't need to hear any more. She went on. Okay, so there's a move being made by Democrats to actually remove, I think it's Green that they're talking about. Is Green the one that was following Hogg around? Let me tell you, okay, here's the thing about that. What we learned, because there's been some questionable people in the history of the Congress, okay? And I remember with Omar and others, when the Squad first went to Congress a couple of years ago, a lot of conservatives were bringing up things about their past. And some of it was questionable, right? I'm not going to go through it all now, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats said that there is no process in the House of Representatives to do anything to any member, censure them, remove them for any action they did prior to being in the Congress. Okay? And that's the way it is. Prior acts to Congress, they could do anything. Prior to being in Congress, they can't be censured or removed because of it by the Congress. They can for things they do in the Congress, but not previous. Okay? So whatever they're taking issue with, but I'll tell you this, they've got a big problem with Joe Biden because, they can say that these Republicans are white supremacists. I've seen no evidence of that myself. I'd like to know who these white supremacists are and what they are involved in that makes them white supremacists, because I don't want to be affiliated with any white supremacist, but I didn't see, all I'm seeing is there's a bunch of people that she does not like, AOC. And like most Democrats, when they don't like someone who is of the Caucasian persuasion, they immediately label them a racist or white supremacist. So, they've got a problem with Joe Biden and their former Senator Robert Byrd and their former Senator Ted Kennedy. Ted Kennedy killed a girl in a vehicular drunken homicide. And Robert Byrd was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, okay? And, yeah, that's right. And Senator Kennedy did what he did while he was in the Senate. And Robert Byrd, I don't believe Robert Byrd ever left the Klan. I think he was, once your Klan, always Klan. I don't think he ever left. And Obama and Clinton and Biden not only were friends, they eulogized the man at his funeral. And that's real white supremacist. He was a card-carrying member of the Ku Klux Klan, okay? And Joe Biden, I know that was a long time ago and they've passed away. That is true, but Joe Biden was very strongly affiliated with them, and knowing who they were and what they did and what they were all about. So, what the Democrats can do is they can go to their districts. Everyone in Congress, everyone in the House of Representatives is up for re-election in the midterms. The whole House is up, okay? They can go to the districts of these so-called white supremacists, and they can expose them to the constituents. They can run television, radio, and ads everywhere else, run a candidate, and get them voted out. But just because you don't like someone, you're not going to label them a white supremacist without any evidence and throw them out of Congress. If I found out that any of these MAGA people that have gone to Congress were white supremacists, I would distance myself from them and criticize them and call them out right here and right now. Okay, I would do that because I don't support that. That's not me, and I don't want anyone in our movement that is that. And I know you guys don't either. But what I find is typically when someone on the left calls someone a racist or a white supremacist, they're not. I've been called that since I've been doing this, and you hear conservatives call that all the time. Everyone they don't like, they try to discount you and discredit you by calling you a racist white supremacist. I didn't hear her give a name and say, this person is a white supremacist, and I know that because they did this, that, and the other thing. I didn't hear any of that. Okay? So until I do, and then hear evidence of that, I'm going to say it's up to their constituents. Like, look at AOC. AOC is a card-carrying socialist. This is a capitalist system. Socialism is a threat to the very system of the United States. But if these loons want to elect her and re-elect her, it's going to happen. Just because we don't agree with someone, just because we don't like, this is the Congress, the House of Representatives. These are representatives who represent their constituents who vote them in. It's not up for somebody in another district who doesn't like them or doesn't like their affiliations to say, well, I don't agree with your politics. I don't agree with your political affiliations. I don't agree with people who vote for you and support you and fundraise for you. Therefore, you got to be canceled from Congress. That's not how it works, AOC. I'm sorry. And I'll tell you, she's very offensive. We talk about all these jobs that Biden's cost this week. Look at what she did with that Amazon facility in New York that she caused to go somewhere else. All right, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. When we get back, we'll go to your calls. Steve Kane will be joining us. My name's Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. On the radio since 1977. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Steve Kane radio listeners love Champagne Automotive Repair in Boca.
I went over to
Steve Kane Show.
Automotive, and I got to tell you that this man...
Hey, Barry. Oh, hey, Barry. We're a couple things. We're going to be off on Monday. I know you don't call in on Mondays, but just to give you a heads up, because I got something I got to do. Did you ever catch up with Chuck? I know Steve talked to you the other day. Okay. Oh, okay. We'll touch base with him then. I appreciate that because we have somebody else that we came to us, but we'd rather because you got the connection with him. It would be what I mean. It's mutually beneficial for him and us. It would be a good combo. All right, I'll reach out to him. All right, hold on.
Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for W.
All right, we are back. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show. Steve joining us. And Steve, on the line, we have your Attorney Barry Siegel, our estate planning and elder law attorney. Barry Siegel, good morning.
Counselor Siegel, how are you today?
Gentlemen, how are you? I'm great.
Excellent.
So, during this pandemic, we've all been hearing about so many people moving from out of state into Florida. We've been hearing about how the real estate market here is just going crazy. There's people buying, and it's been a seller's market. And so with all these new Florida residents, one of the things that new Florida residents need to do is to review their estate planning documents, if you even have any. And if you did them in New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, or wherever you came from, then it's time to have them reviewed. If you are intending to become a Florida resident and remain a Florida resident, then you should have Florida estate planning documents. And we will review your current documents at no charge and let you know what you have. And even beyond the fact that the documents may be
done under the laws of another state. There are so many other reasons why they need to be reviewed. A lot of times they're just done incorrectly. A lot of times they may have inconsistent provisions. They may also have incorrect beneficiaries. I've seen where people have had their ex-spouses still named in their
Oh my goodness.
documents.
Oh my goodness. The ex-spouse might be remarried.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Many reasons. It's very important to make sure that you have your estate planning documents reviewed so that your wishes will be able to come true and you don't have something end up happening where you have the wrong person handling your estate, your assets go to the wrong people. We want to make sure that we have an estate.
Wow. Well, that must be something. When you have a couple in there, you're reviewing their documents, and you find out that one of their ex-spouses is the beneficiary and everything. The other spouse must have a meltdown when that happens. Listen, don't let any of these terrible things happen to you. Call attorney Barry Siegel. It's a completely free consultation. If you mention you heard about him on the radio, his number 855-FLA 3782, 855-FLA 3782, and online SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Barry Siegel, we will finish out the week tomorrow. All right, take care. Steve, before you join us, I was talking about this D.C. Puerto Rican statehood, and Puerto Rico is not going to happen for another reason I didn't mention, because it escaped my mind, and then somebody just messaged me and reminded me of it. But, Puerto Ricans, they down in Puerto Rico don't pay, it's a tax haven. They don't pay income tax down there like we do up here in the States. So there's a lot of companies down there that pay like no taxes, and then there's the people down there. So all of a sudden they're going to become tax-paying citizens? I don't think so.
I'll tell you why. Because this is the impression I got listening to I was actually watching on television some of the early stuff, and the two things I walked away with is, number one, that this is going to happen with the current, they've only been waiting for a favorable balance in Congress, and they have it now. They are going to move ahead, and it's really inevitable.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
I don't know if you can agree or disagree with this, but what I've learned works is when you're a politician and you have something you're trying to accomplish by means political, you can pretty well get what you want if you stick with it.
No. The way it works, the final process for a territory to become a state is the state or the territory have to actually vote on it. And well, let me finish my sentence. Then you can tell me where I'm wrong. And what you would be asking the people of Puerto Rico to do is to vote to make themselves become taxpayers all of a sudden, which they're not now. And I think it'd be very difficult to get them to become taxpayers.
I'm glad you brought this up because I'd like to get some feedback from the audience. It didn't sound, based on what I was listening to this morning, like the Democrats were really planning on having a lot of trouble making this happen. That it was about to, their dream.
And they also need 60. Absolutely.
I'd love to be this one. I really want to be wrong on this one. But
they also, Steve, need 60 votes in the Senate. They need 60 votes in the Senate.
That's
60 votes? They don't have 60 votes. They would need 60 votes in the Senate for Puerto Rican statehood, and they would have to have the people of Puerto Rico decide that they want to pay taxes and vote it in.
Contrary to what I watched this morning, you're telling me the reality is there's nothing to worry about because they're not going to be able to.
Yeah.
No matter how close they appeared.
Yeah. Yes, and I'll tell you what's going on with the news, because I've been watching it this week. The news are not as creative as we are, okay? And what I've noticed this week, Biden's inauguration was a week ago yesterday, And I noticed this week, the media, they don't want to do anything that makes Biden look bad, and there's all kinds of great stories where he's just destroying this country. They don't want to run those stories. And without Trump in the White House and not wanting to report anything truthful on Biden and what he's doing to us, they're having difficulty finding content. And this Puerto Rican statehood in the news, because I've seen it too, is a contrived issue because they have nothing. I'll give you an example. I'm giving you
that what is it they say? From your lips to God's ears. I only hope that's the reality.
Yeah.
The last thing in the world we need is 2 extra regular, or permanent Senate seats run by the Democratic Party.
All these. If you in Puerto Rico, we were there on one of our cruises. I've been there a bunch of times, and a lot of the pharmaceutical companies are based out of Puerto Rico because of the tax haven status. They don't want to start paying taxes, and that goes for the people too. But I was watching Monday on the cable news, and they were all talking about the same thing. The threat of ending the filibuster, which is to me a terminal discussion, and I went to every channel and they were talking about it, and I went over to Fox, and Dana Perino was on with I forgot the guy's name that she does the show with in the mornings over there on Fox, and they were talking about the filibuster, and I could tell that they were as interested as as reading out of the dictionary, and then they come back from a break, and they start telling viewers how important the filibuster is to protect their freedom. The media. Joe Biden put 100,000 people out of work this week. The media don't want to deal with it, so they're bringing up these other issues to try to be interesting. But while they're trying to cover for Biden and Trump's not in the scene right now, there's a lot of contrived crap going on in cable news, and that's one of them. There's no way Puerto Rico is going to become a state. Now, you guys out in the audience, if I'm wrong or right or Steve's right or whatever, please call, because the last thing I would want in the world is for Puerto Rico to be a state. We'd be screwed. We'd be screwed. Oh yeah, our country would be over. We'd have no country if Puerto Rico became a state.
So I got that part right.
Oh yeah, it'd be over. It'd be over. It'd be over because Oh no, it's dangerous.
Hysterical.
No, it'd be the end of America if Puerto Rico became a state. Yeah, absolutely. They get 2 senators. They'd get 2 senators.
That's what I was.
Yeah, it'd be the end of America as we know it. Absolutely. Yeah, it would be terrible. It would be terrible. Yeah, but I don't think it's realistic. I don't think it's realistic at all.
Find out. And by the way, Trump appears to, from what I'm reading in the paper, Florida here with one of our
Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy, our leader. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like Don is not going to keep quiet too long.
Yeah.
We all knew. And by the way, which is blessed news at this point, because life without life without Donald Trump is like a day without sunshine.
Well, I like knowing that when I get out that he's just right up the street. I mean, he's right up the street from us right now. The Palm Beach local government on Palm Beach are trying to evict him from Mar-a-Lago. It's in the local news. If you watch the local news, they're saying that he cannot live in Mar-a-Lago, that you can only stay. It's not a residence. He can't stay. And there's a real move among these Democrats in Palm Beach to throw him out of Mar-a-Lago. And I don't remember ever the Democrats saying Jeffrey Epstein couldn't live on the Palm Beach island. But Donald Trump, they didn't mind that. Jeffrey Epstein's fine with them, but Donald Trump, they want him out. What a bunch of lowlives, What a boom for the tourist economy, because Mar-a-Lago is part of the tourist industry up there now. When you take the tours for tourists up there, they take you by 2 presidential residences. They take you by Mar-a-Lago, where President Trump lives. No, and the Kennedy compound. The Kennedy compound is right down the street. So you got 2 presidential residences there. But Jeffrey Epstein, he could live there for life as far as they cared. Good morning, you're on the radio.
Good morning, this is Joey from Delray.
Hey, Joey.
Joey.
Good morning, guys. How you doing? Listen, in regards to Puerto Rico, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing. I'm not against Puerto Rico. I mean, I have a half Puerto Rican. My daughter-in-law is Puerto Rican. I have a grandchild who's half Puerto Rican. So let's get that out of the way. But I believe that they become a state, they will be a welfare state.
It already is. It already is a welfare territory. Yeah.
Let me tell you stories. I worked there 2 weeks. In my working years, I was a contractor, and I worked in Puerto Rico for 2 weeks. This is about 10 years ago. This is before the hurricanes. The infrastructure, you wouldn't believe. If I told you telephone poles are leaning at a 60-degree angle, and the strands of cable are so low that not only trucks but cars can't even go under them. I mean, it's unbelievable the construction or lack of the.
Well, look, I think we understand that it would be not in our interest, to say the least, were Puerto Rico to ever get statehood. But Brian has what I'm hoping is an overly developed sense of gee, I'm having trouble getting my words out this morning, but he seems to think that there's not much of a chance it's going to happen, and I want to check that out with you and with the other callers. Are you as convinced that this is nothing to worry about?
Well, yes, and another point, Steve. They, in my recollection, they have voted over the years, and I don't know how many times, maybe 3 times that I could remember, that I was conscious of them voting on becoming a state, and the people themselves didn't want it.
Well, okay, but that was then, this is now, and that was that Congress, and this is this Congress.
Yeah.
But it's not, see, the thing is, Steve, hold on, call it, because he knows more about this. It's not up to Congress. It's up to the Puerto Ricans. They got to vote on it down. They got to get 60 votes in the Senate to start the process, and then at the end, they've got to get the Puerto Rican people to vote that they want it, and they voted it down in the past.
Well, I understand the past. I'm just worried about the past, whether it applies to what's going on now. I mean, it seems to me they're closer than ever. Am I wrong?
Well, no. Look. I get your point. You think now, with the way times are now, they're willing to, go against their own heritage. Let's say their Puerto Rican heritage and become a state out of economic reasons and so on. Because, like I said, in the past they were against it. They always lost out. The people voted it down. So,
well, they voted it down. The reason they voted down is not because of Puerto Rican independence. That's a small part of it, but a part of it. It's because of the tax status they have down. It's a tax haven. It's like Switzerland, and they don't pay taxes. So if they become a state, they'll have to pay taxes. And you know what? They probably have to pay state taxes too, state income taxes too, because it's such a welfare state.
And don't worry, Steve, it'll never happen.
Yeah, but that's not your way. You want to worry.
I mean, I waited until Okay, all right, thanks.
Appreciate your call. Listen, we're going to take our last break of the second hour. And by the way, if you want to call in on this, please do. 1-888-GO-CANE 1-888-465-2631. It's 47 minutes after 7. We'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
This is Brian Craig, and I want to tell you about Dr. Mitch Matez at the Boca Raton Center for Age Management. He's my anti-aging doctor. That's right, I have an anti-aging doctor now. I was starting to slow down a bit. I met with Dr. Matez, and he found that my testosterone level was low. We men begin losing our testosterone starting at age 30, and it goes down every year after that.
Hey, Jack, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Do we have any evidence that Puerto Rico would be blue? Yeah, everyone, they do elect people down there. And every elected official is a Democrat at the territorial level. So yes.
25 years old. Thanks to Dr. Matez, I have more energy, I feel better, I look better, my love life, it's better, and my wife, she's thanking Dr. Matez too. Bioidentical hormone pellet therapy isn't just for men, it works wonders for women by reversing the symptoms of menopause, like the night sweats and the mood swings. Men and women, you don't have to live with the negative effects of aging, like loss of energy, loss of sexual desire, weight gain, or menopause. Call Dr. Matez and meet with him about bioidentical hormone pellet therapy. It works for me, and it'll work for you too. He's located in Boca, and his website is hormonetherapybocaratone.com. Or give him a call, 561-953-5490. 561-953-5490.
Steve Kane Show.
And tell him Brian Craig sent you.
If you
Yeah, hold
suffer
on.
with diabetes, did you know there's a 25% chance that you will develop a foot ulcer at some point in your life? And foot ulcers, when you have diabetes, can lead to severe health consequences up to and including amputation. Now, Medicare recognizes the importance of preventative foot care and has provided coverage for those of you who are
Mike,
at-risk
$5 super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you.
good friends at the Soul Authority. At the Soul Authority, at little or no cost, you can receive your very own.
So someone told me to get something called Goo Be Gone to get this tape off the window. So I'm going to get Goo Be Gone and scrape this tape off.
Medicare recipient, you are entitled to one pair of high-quality diabetic shoes with 3 custom inserts per year. These are not the ugly Frankenstein shoes. These are name-brand shoes. They're stylish. They'll provide you with the extra width and extra depth to stop diabetic foot problems before they begin. Oftentimes, amputation due to diabetes is preventable, and one of the preventable measures that is most effective is wearing the proper shoes. Call the Soul Authority at 954-597-7060 or online at thesoulauthority.com. That's THESOLE authority.com. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WW.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian Steve Kane here. This is the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, my name is Chris in Palm Beach, and I just wanted to say there is a possibility that the Congress will pass laws in advance of any Puerto Rican vote, which would actually encourage residents to vote for statehood, and that is they could pass a new Territory to Statehood Economic Relief Act, which would grant residents a 10-year, 100% tax exemption.
Oh.
And also have a stimulus package where every resident would get a $1,000 tax rebate first year. And as short-sighted as most people are, I think they would jump on that and perhaps vote for statehood, even if it's not in their best interest.
Well, that's the point that I've been trying to make, Brian, this morning, is that when you're dealing with politician and politics, people are easily led, and things that, I mean, just look at the last election. I mean, my good grief, never anything that pointed to trying to make here.
Yeah.
Thought, 6 months ago, we would the United States would be where we are.
Yeah.
Now, no, they would have laughed you out of the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't take the ability of politicians to manipulate their constituencies. I've learned not to take that granted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Steve's absolutely right. I think it.
Yeah, and we you know.
Pull rabbits. That's why we've got to get Trump back in action.
Yeah.
Biden does a great job of self-destructing. There is no question of that. He gets up every time he opens his mouth and gives a speech, especially on these things on the economy. It's I wince in pain for my poor Democratic brothers, but it still needs an opposition to be organized and herded through some of these dangerous waters that we're going through now.
Yeah, that's right. All right, hey, listen. Yeah, we did. Thanks for the call. Let's take another call. You're on the radio. Good morning.
Brian,
doing, man? This is Dennis from Blacksburg, South Carolina. How you doing?
All right, we're all right. Speak a little slower, though. Speak a little slower. You're talking like an auctioneer. Slow down.
Must be the Yankee in me. Good morning, you guys. I was sitting here thinking, you got a point, but this may be part of the whole Biden.
Puerto Rico's part of the United States already.
He just says, okay, you know what? We're going to have all immigrants everywhere. Just come on. Then it wouldn't be no purpose.
A border. Yeah. I don't know what that.
Sure, that's realistic. I mean,
Well, I just think a lot of things, though. What?
Listen, what the Democrats do. Thanks for the call. They came out today. The Democrats are pushing for all of this green crap, and then it comes out that Pelosi. Now, it's legal for her to do this as a member of Congress because insider trading's legal if you're in Congress. But she had some Telsa calls that she took. Made some big money off Tesla this week, this week, which is a benefit of all this green crap they're pushing through. Most of the green companies are just fraud companies. It's not viable. And what we got are a bunch of, remember Solyndra, that green company that Obama? So there's two things that are going on with this push for green jobs. One is to prop up not that Tesla is a good company. I like Tesla and Elon Musk, but for every good company, there's 30 Solyndras out there that they're trying to prop up with federal money. And there's another thing too that people I don't think people pick up on too much. The oil companies do not like all of this drilling and exploration because it drives down the price of oil, and they want the price of oil to be higher. So the oil companies have an interest in stopping things like the pipeline and the drilling in Alaska because it keeps the oil prices higher, and the oil prices are too low for the oil companies. They don't like that $2 gas, $1.98 gas. So anytime they're talking about green crap, it's never about the environment or what it seems. They're like magicians, the Democrats. Whatever they're really doing has nothing to do with what they're saying. Everything they're saying is a diversion. Yeah, exactly. I mean, John Kerry, yesterday told all those go build solar panels. Guy's never had a job in his life, and he's taken a $80,000, $90,000 a year job away from these guys. Oh, just go build solar panels and windmills wherever those plants are.
the worst enemies that the Democrats have are themselves. I mean, when I wish Biden could get up and talk all day every time he opens his mouth.
Mike, $5 super chat. Thank you.
Visualize the Democrats and certainly the politicians of a Democratic persuasion in the audience must wince and go, "Oh my God, he didn't really say that, did he?"
Yeah.
But it needs Trump. That's why Trump is such a great asset. It needs Trump to pull it together.
Yeah. Oh, I want to just play this, one of our voicemail calls from last night. At the end of yesterday's show, we were, it's almost time for the top of the hour, so we'll do this real quick. But we were talking at the end of yesterday's show about Kirk Schilling not getting into the Hall of Fame and how that happens. And one of our callers, did I put the call in here? Oh, I don't have the call here, so I thought I had the voicemail to play. I did not know this. One of our listeners, that's an overnight listener, left a message. The Hall of Fame votes are done by the sports press. And the sports press they're more liberal than the Washington press corps. Yeah. Yeah.
Equally uninformed.
Oh, yeah. The sports media are the worst. I mean, they're more liberal than your standard New York Times, Washington Post reporter. So Kirk Schilling, if he's got to depend on the sports writers, he'll never get in the Hall of Fame. It's what it is. It's definitely because of politics. Oh yeah. All right, let's take one more call before we break. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Yeah, you're on the radio. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
I'm on the air.
Amazing but true.
Oh, okay. Hi, Brian. This is Theodore from Texas.
Go ahead, Texas. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
This is your moment.
Oh wow.
Yeah, isn't it exciting? I know. I say the same thing every morning when I get up.
Yeah. Yeah, I like your show, man. It's really informative, man. But I wanted to know, is Puerto Rico the only territory the Democrats trying to
No, well, D.C., Washington, D.C., which is not a territory, they want to make that a territory, but there's also the U.S. Virgin Islands and Guam. And I guess American Samoa, too. They want them all to be states. But they focus on Puerto Rico. They focus on Puerto Rico a lot because it has more of a connection than American Samoa. You know what I mean?
So if the Democrats had their way, if they could try and get all the territories to
yeah, that's their plan.
Today Puerto Rico, tomorrow the world.
No, that's their plan. If they get Puerto Rico, next will be the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I'll tell you something. I wish you wouldn't have brought this up, Steve, because you're starting to get me thinking that it might happen. Because
that's why I brought it up.
Well, I don't like to be depressed in the morning, but anyway, the Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands are dealing with some of the most severe economic hardships ever because the tourism industry has been stopped for a year. And on our last cruise that we went to the U.S. Virgin Islands, I took a tour of the island, and remember when we went to the Virgin Islands was right after they got hit by those hurricanes. And the tour guide was telling us that we were like one of the first 2 cruise ships to come to the place in 6 months. And they were really hurting. Now imagine, they've been closed down for a year. Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, they're willing to make a deal down there for anything. So probably the time is probably hot for them to be coerced into becoming states because they're hurting so much financially right now. They'll just pour money into them. They'll just give them all money. Yeah.
And if they become states, you know they're going to become blue, right?
Oh, yeah, they'll be Democrat states, no doubt about it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's why the Democrats are pushing for it. They wouldn't be pushing for them if they weren't going to be Democrat states. We got to run, but thanks for the call. If you're on hold, don't go anywhere. It's 8:01. I'm Brian. Steve Kane here. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. We'll be back right after this.
Covered AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
Do you think you've come in contact with someone who has coronavirus?
Steve Kane Show.
Steve Kane's wife Lori did, and she went to any lab test now of Coral Springs.
Hold on.
To find out
Steve Kane
she
Show.
has
Hold on.
coronavirus.
So I came into contact with somebody who tested positive for COVID, and I was scared, and I needed results right away, so I went to any lab test now in Coral Springs. It was great. I didn't want to have to stay in line for 2 hours and have a swab stuck down my nose into my brain. It was very pleasant. I made an appointment. They got me in within the hour. I was out of there within 20 minutes. Thank goodness the test was negative, and I can go back to work tomorrow. They also tested me for the antibodies, and I haven't been exposed. So do what I did. Go over to any lab test now at Coral Springs. They give great rates for Steve Kane listeners, and tell them we sent you.
It's worth 15 minutes of your time to have peace of mind and know that you and your family are safe. Any lab test now of Coral Springs is located at 955 North University Drive on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood near the Coral Square Mall. You can call them at 954-906-5983. 954-906-5983. Any lab test now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza where the Western Beef is, south of Palmetto Park Road and north of Hillsboro. Call them at 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio.
This is Steve Kane, and I wanted to share with you some thoughts about why I chose the Gardens of Boca Raton to be my final resting place. I have always been uncomfortable with thoughts of death and dying, but the very first time that I visited the Gardens of Boca Raton, I could feel my apprehensions vanish. Just knowing that I'd be spending eternity with my family in such magnificent surroundings lifted my spirits. The Gardens of Boca Raton is an all-faith, above-ground cemetery with tranquil surroundings, a place where your loved ones can come and visit you time and time again, remembering and celebrating your life. The gardens have caring professionals available to help you in your time.
Those of you that are new here, make sure you subscribe, click that notification bell. Well, thank you, 420.
Financing is available and prevents your family from having to deal with these matters at the time of their grief and sorrow. The Gardens of Boca Raton, dedicated to all those who have lived and all those who live today. Let the Gardens take care of your family as they are taking care of my family. Schedule a tour today. Call 877-PLAN-561 or online at thegardens.com. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by Attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
You are listening to South Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll-free, dial 1-888-1. That's 1-888-GO-K.
All right, third hour has begun. I'm Brian. Steve Kane here. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. You're on the air. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, hi. My name's Larry from Delray.
Hey, Larry.
Hi, Steve. Let me ask you, Brian's argument on income tax. I know of 9 states, one of which is Florida. No state income tax, no tax on dividends, and no tax on interest. We had an intangible tax, there's no tax. So this income tax, I hope we don't get these states, but I hope Florida doesn't get those states. But Brian's argument on this
Have one in Florida.
income tax whatsoever.
It's in our state. Yeah, there's no state income tax in Florida. That's why. Yeah.
The federal.
Yeah. It's a big federal. Yeah. Puerto Rico is a huge federal tax haven. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But like I say, they are. There has, we have our cruise that's a year from now, next January, and cruising will be back before then. But they've been a year without cruise ships in Puerto Rico, and they depend on those cruise ships. I mean, I remember last time we were in San Juan with our listeners. I was walking around town with some listeners, and we got kind of lost. And the mailman helped us. The Puerto Rican mailman helped. They love the cruise ship people because their economy relies on it.
Rose because of the state income tax in New York and what.
Well, yeah, but we're landlocked. They just can get in a car and drive down I-95. Puerto Rico is probably experiencing the worst poverty they've experienced in 100 years because
it's completely corrupt.
Well, it's Latin America. The only reason Puerto Rico is so beautiful as it is and the corruption's not as bad as Venezuela is because we own it. If it was independent, it'd be just like Venezuela, Cuba, or something. Yeah. All right. Take care. Oh, I got a. This is great. Got some news here to share. Just got a text message from my wife. I'll share with you. Yesterday, a listener of ours sent me a message on Twitter. They bought one of they big supporters of the show, big supporters of Mike Lindell, and oh my goodness, yeah.
This is the greatest thing that ever happened to him.
Oh yeah, and one of our listeners, they messaged me that they had gotten the MyPillow mattress topper, and when you use the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you actually save 30% off of the mattress topper. And I met another listener a while back at one of Attorney Barry Siegel's workshops who had gotten the MyPillow mattress topper. He has back problems, and he was having some back problems sitting in the chair at the workshop. And he told me, he says, I'm going home, I'm going to lay down on my MyPillow mattress topper. And what the MyPillow mattress topper actually does is turn your mattress, your standard mattress, into a big MyPillow. And my wife just sent me a text. She just bought one for my daughter. And, of course, used your name, Kane, at checkout. So I've saved 30% off of it. But when you go to MyPillow.com, everything you see there, whatever the special says, you can use the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, and that the mattress topper, my daughter has a twin, so we got the twin size, but it comes in every size all the way up to California King. And when you order the mattress topper, you use the promo code Kane, not only do you receive 30% off, they send you 2 free MyPillows. for the bed. So that's a pretty good deal. 30% off and 2 My Pillows when you use the promo code Kane. But if you see anything else there that interests you, use that promo code Kane and show your support not just for us, but for Mike Lindell, who is going through just an incredible amount of oppression by the left.
They really are trying to destroy his business, and it's really scary. And this is the only, we got to stick together.
Well, you know what they're doing? There's a purge of Trump's inner circle going on. People that are in his immediate circle are they're going after them. And Mike Lindell is probably the most vocal supporter of President Trump these days in the national media, and they're really going after him hard because of that. And what they're really doing is just making him a stronger and stronger supporter, if that's possible, of the president every day, because it makes him want to fight harder, But anyway, so listen, the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, that mattress topper. I'm looking forward to getting the one for my daughter. I'll give you a report on it when we get it. But everything I've heard so far is just wonderful about it. Okay, so lots happening here. John Kerry, who served in Vietnam 3 months longer than I did, and I was 4 years old when the war ended, when Saigon fell. Yesterday, let me just play this clip. I played it at the top of the show at 6. Let me play it again. He's a real sadistic, really just heartless person. I mean, if he wasn't in politics, he'd be, he talks like BTK. He had a press conference yesterday in the White House. Well, you know what I mean. These serial killers they have no empathy for others. And, Biden's first week in office, he put over 100,000 people out of work in the oil and gas industry. And John Kerry's the climate czar. He's the climate czar. He's going to save the planet. He's like a superhero. And a reporter asked John Kerry, what about all these guys that you're putting out of work that are making $80,000 or $90,000 a year? And this is John Kerry's, over wordy response.
With respect to those workers, no two people are more in this room are more concerned about it, and the President of the United States has expressed in every comment he has made about climate the need to grow the new jobs that pay better, that are cleaner. You look at the consequences of black lung for a miner, for instance, and measure that against the fastest growing job in the United States before COVID was solar power technician. The same people can do those jobs.
Okay, so if you were working on the Keystone Pipeline, Steve, go get a job doing solar panels. But he says the fastest growing job during the Obama era was solar panel construction jobs. That's because no one was making them. So 2 people started making them. They had 100% increase. It wasn't that long ago when Obama was president. Do you know what country in the world had the largest growth of a Jewish population? The fastest growth of a Jewish population, Germany. Just when Obama was president. And the reason is they exterminated all their Jews back in the war, and there's it's been a long time. Jews are moving there. They didn't have any. Then they have 2, so they had a 200% increase in the number of Jews in Germany. So to say that solar panel, even if he's telling the truth, which I doubt with John Kerry, that solar panel construction was the fastest growing job, nobody was making them. So that means nothing. And some guy in Wisconsin that just lost his $90,000 a year job, where's this solar panel construction job that he can start next week? And he's heartless about it. I mean, the guy's never had a job in his life, and he doesn't give a damn. Yeah. Cold-blooded, cold-hearted, uncaring, sadistic gigolo. John Kerry.
Not a pretty good guy.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, Biden hasn't had a job either. None of them have done anything outside of government, right? I was very surprised when Greg Kelly on Newsmax TV went through Biden's life. He graduated law school at 25. 2 years later, he had his first elected office, and he never went back. So 2 years of his adult life, he didn't work for the government, and a year of that life was probably running for the office. And the same with John Kerry. They've done nothing in their whole life except jibber jabber. They've never worked, never had to worry about money, and they just put 100,000 guys out of work, and they don't even. In fact, yesterday Biden was signing some more executive orders And when he left, a reporter asked him, do you have anything to say to all these people you just put out of work? He just walked away, didn't even answer. Couldn't give a damn. I've never seen such heartless... I mean, can you imagine? 100,000 families lost their primary income source this week, and Kerry and Biden they don't care. You know, they find something else to do. You know, yeah, find something else to do. That's it. You know, this is going to be the most damaging. They're going to do more damage to the Democrats than Jimmy Carter. They really are.
I mean, you'd have to believe that. I mean, it's every day these speeches, you know, day after day after day, jobs, you know, falling by the wayside, people scared for their future, even those that are working now, worrying that they won't be working in a couple of months, if that long.
Yeah.
It's very scary. It's very scary, and it's just, I don't know what to say.
Oh, well, it's just...
I fear, you know, I fear that these people get too much power. That they're just going to spread the misery.
Yeah. That's what they do, and they just don't care about people. All right, listen, we're going to take our first break of the third hour. We'll be right back. I'm Brian, Steve here. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, would you like to save money each and every month? Of course you would.
Steve Kane Show.
To save more money. But how? By calling I Will Advise.
Hold on.
That's how. At
Steve Kane Show. Hold on.
954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. And have their expert team review your homeowner's policy. I Will Advisors will review your policy at no charge. Most homeowners never review their policy, but it should be reviewed every year. You commercial property owners, same goes for your property insurance policy. So what are you waiting for? Call I Will Advisors and start saving money. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080.
Hi, this is George Corey of the Soul Authority. In this time of social distancing and sheltering in place, many people have been forced to neglect their feet. We at the Soul Authority are making it possible for you to still take care of your feet while remaining in your home, as we will send a doctor to your house for all of your podiatric needs. The best part of all is that Medicare pays for this visit. So, if you're a Medicare recipient, give the Soul Authority a call today at 954-597-7060. That's 954-597-7060. Don't let social distancing stop you from taking care of your feet. Call the Soul Authority today.
Stop paying an outrageous fortune for your tires. Go easy on your budget and buy your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate, where they have all the major brands like Goodyear and Firestone at discount prices that absolutely can't be beaten. Steve Kane's tires for his Toyota van at the other shops, $175 a tire. At Friendly Tire, just $75 a tire. That's a $100 savings per tire. Tires for my daughter Emily's car, $135 at the shops around town. The price at Friendly Tire, only $65. That's a $70 savings per tire. These prices are out the door and on the road. Free mounting and balancing and no added charges. Friendly Tire have a great selection of good used tires too, starting at just $30 for most cars. Call my good buddy Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. Tell him what you drive and he will give you a great low price right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Online, friendlytire.net.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
All right, we're back 17 minutes after the hour. Listen to this, Steve. Biden's new executive order is creating a New Deal-style civilian climate corps. The Civilian Climate Corps will mobilize a new, diverse generation of patriotic Americans in the battle against the threat of climate change. Oh, my goodness, the Climate Corps. Oh, my goodness. Good morning, you're on the air.
Top of the morning to you.
Oh, speaking of uncaring, unsympathetic, sadistic people. Al the John, good morning. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're here. So Biden's first week, 100,000 jobs gone. What can we look forward to this week?
Proud you must be.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, let me educate you on a few things. Number one, if you construct thousands of electric charging stations in office buildings and highways around the country, you're going to create jobs.
But this is what you don't get. This is what you don't get. You're too much in you're like in economics 101 in college and talking out of a textbook. Okay? Yeah. Okay. If you, as opposed to real life, see when it comes to employment and work and jobs, all you know is from a textbook as opposed to practical experience. Okay? Yes. There, for example, Tesla. They have charging stations all over the place, right? I see them at Wawa. And there are people that, if you put out a contract for more Tesla charging stations, there'll be people putting those together. But if I am making $90,000 a year on a construction site on the Keystone Pipeline, I'm not going to get that job. I'm out of work. I don't know how to put together charging stations. I'm a pipe fitter. So you understand what I mean? You're talking about theory. That's another job. That's not this. That guy's still out of work on the pipeline.
See, and now we're talking out of work. Now we're in your area of expertise.
Yes.
Talking about out of work.
I'm not out of work. I have a job.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, I don't want to get bogged down in that. Respond to what I said. So we're gonna let's say Biden signs an executive order creating 1 million Tesla charging stations coast to coast. Those 100,000 guys don't know how to put together charging stations. They're pipe fitters. They're still out of work. So what do you do with them?
Yeah, wind turbine production will go up 1,000.
Yeah, but those other 100,000 guys don't know how to make wind turbines. They know how to lay pipe and put it together. They don't know how to build turbines. That's another profession.
I played plenty of pipe in my day.
Get off the phone!
Oh, well, you're right about that, especially the creep part. What a lowlife. What a lowlife. What a terrible comment. What a terrible statement for a liberal to make about women. Sexualizing women that way. Oh my gosh. And for those of you that wonder why we call him Al the John, he called in one day and I pulled out of him. I was very surprised, he confessed this to me, that he had sex with a prostitute when he was traveling with his brother-in-law, and his excuse was that his brother-in-law hired the prostitute. And my response to him was, does your sister know that her husband hires prostitutes? But then forever since he's been known as Al the John for that particular reason. But that's it creates other jobs. What a bunch of jerks. They just don't know. Liberals don't know how work works, right? They just don't know. They don't. I mean, that's about the dumbest thing. Oh, I found this yesterday. I wanted to play this for you. Biden gave an interview. This was a while back, and he was talking about Trump signing all these executive orders and how signing executive orders is not how America works. Listen to this.
Strange notion. We are a democracy. Some of my Republican friends and some of my Democratic friends even occasionally say, well, if you can't get the votes by executive order, you're going to do something. Things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator. We're a democracy. We need consensus.
Got to take a... Okay, so that's what Stephanopoulos. So signing executive orders makes you a dictator. Those are things we need consensus, not executive orders. We don't need dictate. Every time I see Biden for the last, I guess today will be day 8. He always has a stack of executive orders as high as his head sitting at the table. So I guess by his own measurement, he's a dictator now.
In the beginning, remember when he was walking around like he was a zombie during the campaign, and people were wondering if you make it up to the podium to be able.
Yeah.
And the plan was get him elected, pray a lot and hope that he gets elected, and then let him sign as many executive orders as they've got planned, and then they'll turn.
Yeah. That's right. I don't.
What they're doing.
Yeah. That's exactly. I was talking in the last hour before you joined us about this. We found it was leaked out by someone. This was not supposed to be out there, but it was leaked out that the leader of the Proud Boys has been an FBI informant. And that's a huge story. That is a huge story. And I see a lot of media suppression on it because even though it's out there, they're not talking about the significance. Because I was talking to a caller. He flew into D.C. before the event, and he was immediately picked up by the feds and taken away. And yeah.
Wait, let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
Tell me why I'm not so concerned about the Proud Boys, because I heard the stuff that we've done so.
Oh, because you don't know what's going on. Because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. No. I'll explain it to you. The FBI. It came out after the Capitol breach that the day before the breach, the FBI told the Capitol Police that there might be an incident, that they had intel that showed there might be an incident on Inauguration Day, and the Capitol Police did not respond appropriately to it, so goes the story. This guy was probably the informant to the FBI, which means that there was prior knowledge of an organization that was going to attack the Capitol. This guy, the question is, the Proud Boys are supposedly these big MAGA guys that go to all the MAGA events, and I'm wondering who's he really working for? Is he working for the MAGA movement and the Proud Boys, or has he been an undercover federal guy who has been taking the Proud Boys into all these situations doing the work of the FBI? What I mean is, it looks like the feds are behind the Proud Boys, that it's not a real organization anymore. And it really, you got to wonder what kind of role. Yeah, I'm telling you, this is a big story. I mean, he's one of the. I'm not a fan of the Proud Boys, but a lot of MAGA people are, and they are at every event around the country where MAGA people have been for the last year. They're there. You see them in the news every time, and I don't think it's a coincidence. And you got to really wonder who's behind some of these other groups now that have hijacked the MAGA movement.
I worry about the fact that every night when the sun goes down, riots are occurring across the country under the cover of darkness that go back. I mean, they've been going on for as long as I can remember, and they haven't stopped and they haven't let up, and the press barely covers it. The press is not trying to give it a lot of exposure. There was a time when that was a hot story. The press is trying to pretend it's not going on, and that, to me, that's what I've got.
On Portland?
Well, no, not just Portland. It's a whole bunch of cities up there in the.
Yeah.
And nobody, frankly, right now, Republican or Democrat, nobody is pointing to it. Nobody is giving a solution. Basically, the press. I mean, I would say that the lack
Steve
of
Kane
coverage that I've seen on this it almost looks like a cover-up to me. So I've got other things on my mind.
No, it's important because, Steve, the impeachment trial's coming up, and the impeachment trial is about the Capitol breach, okay? And they're blaming President Trump for the Capitol breach. The trial's happening. No, it's happening. The trial's happening.
It's happening with no judge. It's happening.
It's still going to happen.
Trust me, in my opinion, the trial is going to end up working against them.
Yeah, and it looks like, you know, when I heard Patrick Leahy went to the hospital the other night, I was wondering if that was real or is he just trying to get out of being in charge of this impeachment trial? You know, yeah.
It's going to be much of a trial, and I think once, as always, the more truth that comes out about these things, the worse it is for.
No, Steve, no. This thing with this guy from the Proud Boys is very important because they are blaming the Capitol breach on President Trump and the MAGA movement. And if this guy's been working for the FBI and he had prior knowledge to the events, it shows that there's an organization that is not connected to Trump and not connected to the MAGA people that are really behind it. So it's very important. In the trial, it's hard to have a trial without a judge, but the Democrats are doing it. That's American justice now. They're having a trial without a judge, and the judge doesn't want to preside over the trial, but they're going to have a trial anyway, which makes it
So they've disqualified themselves, as they frequently do. They've disqualified themselves from the beginning. This is a disaster for them.
It's a kangaroo court. Yeah.
It's going to come across it.
But they're still going to do it. And the media will
do, the worse it looks for them.
What I'm telling you is, though, there's that kangaroo court and there's the court of public opinion. And a lot And a lot of people in this country believe that President Trump was responsible for that breach. And I want him cleared in the court of public opinion. And this Proud Boys guy could be the beginning of that. Let's take a call or two before we break at the bottom. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, Brian. I'm calling.
Are you getting? No, I'm not. That's not for on air. But somebody did give me a good tip. There's something called Gooby Gone, and I'm going to use that. Okay. Anyway, oh my goodness. Call Joyce Kaufman. You can talk about Scotch tape with her. She'd love you to the call. All right. Listen, we'll take our break. I should have taken the break first, but I didn't. I wanted to take a couple more calls, but that was a mistake. We'll take our break for the bottom of the hour and be right back. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane here. I'm Brian. We'll be back after this. Don't go anywhere.
We've got you covered. AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
Hi, Brian Craig here. We've been telling you on the Steve Kane Show, for coronavirus testing, stop by any lab test now of Coral Springs and any lab test now of Boca. One of our longtime sponsors, Dr. Mitch Matez of the Boca Raton Center for Age Management, went to any lab test now of Boca for coronavirus testing this weekend, and he called in live on the radio to share his experience.
Listen, Brian, I have a great experience to tell you about. I went to any lab test now on
Steve Kane Show.
Friday.
Steve Kane Show.
On Saturday to get COVID-19 tested. And
Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
had a little experience where we had somebody in our close circle that tested
Okay, hold on.
positive after 10 days, by the way. Went and had a test. It took 10 days to get the results. We all went into a little bit of a panic, obviously. So we called up any lab test now. It was about maybe 11:30 in the morning on Saturday. They said, come on right on over. I was anonymous. I didn't announce myself. We went over there. We got there about noon. We checked in. 2 minutes later, they took us back, did our test. We sat in the waiting room for less than 15 minutes. They brought us back, gave us our results, which were negative, and we were on our way home. And a little shout out to Brittany, the nice young lady who did our test. It was completely painless. It was quick, it was simple, it was easy, and it gave you both the IgM and the IgG antibodies, which tells you if you have the infection now or if you've been exposed to it in the past.
Now, you went to any lab test now of Boca?
Boca Raton, yeah, in the Sandalfoot Plaza.
Awesome.
It was awesome. It really was. It was cool, and it's easy, it's simple, and I'm telling you, that's the way to go. Forget this 10-day nonsense.
Doctor recommended. Can I say that in the commercial now? Doctor recommended. Any lab test now of Boca
There you
Raton.
go. Doctor recommended. Yeah, it was really kind of cool, and it was wonderful, and it was easy. And listen, to that end, go over and get tested. This is the test you want to get. It tells you point blank, did you have it, do you have it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That's great. So Dr. Mitch Matez personally recommending any lab test now of Boca. You heard Dr. Mitch Matez. Any lab test now of Boca is doctor recommended for coronavirus testing. They're located in the Sandalfoot Plaza. That's where the Western Beef is, south of Palmetto Park Road and north of Hillsboro on the east side of 441. Give them a call, 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. Any lab test now of Coral Springs is located on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood over by the Coral Square Mall. Their number, 954-906-5983. Any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by Attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Are you concerned with the distribution of your assets at the time of your passing? Avoid probate. Call the Siegel Law Group with 9 offices throughout South Florida, from Palm Beach Gardens to Coral Gables. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for...
All right, we are back. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi, Carol in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to you every night, and unfortunately I can't respond because that's from the morning. But I listen to all this gobbledygook, and if you remember Maxine Waters and Peach 45 and Peach 45, if you see them get in their face, if you see them after dinner walk up to their table,
Yes.
supposed whistleblower, which I always believed was him, except he didn't really think that it was going to go south. He thought it was going to happen. And he incited all his co-workers and contemporaries against Trump, and all the media regurgitating and plagiarizing each other to incite the country against him. And de Blasio in New York illegally painting Black Lives Matter in front of the Trump building and inciting Black Lives Matter and possibly Antifa to go after him. What happens to all of that? Is this good for the goose but not good for the gander?
Well, just because the left are doing terrible things doesn't mean we should be doing it too. We're supposed to be the law and order people. Yeah, but
He didn't say attack anyone.
no, Trump's not responsible for what happened at the Capitol. Other forces were. There's two things going on with the Capitol breach right now, okay? That are coming out in the last day. The one is the one I was talking about with this Proud Boys guy. They've also arrested a group of militia people who traveled there together. And very soon there will be a press conference with either prosecutors or the FBI that are going to detail the plot that led to the attack of the Capitol. Last night, Tucker Carlson, by the way, Fox News was #1 last night in primetime for the first time in weeks. So people are going, people are going back to Fox. But Tucker Carlson was asking last night, why are there still soldiers in Washington? It's for the impeachment trial. They want to have the troops there during this kangaroo trial so that they can they can give the impression that there's still a threat, which there's been none since the Capitol breach.
Ma'am, hang on one second. I can't let that pass. I strongly disagree with that. I mean, we're speculating. We should stipulate that up front. But I think that there are a lot of very nervous people in Washington.
Yeah.
They know what they went through with the
yeah.
mess that was. I think deep in their minds, I think they're not convinced that is over. They're not convinced they've seen the worst. I think they're scared. I think they want those troops because of their own fears. They're afraid of how this might expand from here. I really take that serious.
Oh no, there's been no there has not been one incident since the breach.
I agree with Steve, and that just goes to prove why we still use guns.
Well, excuse me. What I saw at the breach, I was talking about the Walkaway founder earlier this week. He was telling people that were with him to assault police officers. Okay, and he's a MAGA guy, Brandon Straka from the Walkaway. I'm assuming that he's the founder of the Walkaway movement. What else is?
Hold on. Wait a minute.
I understand what you're saying, but you don't really know what was in the back of his mind when he.
Well, wait a minute. If I might get a word in here, okay? If you view this thing based on that incident at the inauguration and the Capitol uproar that they had, you get one picture in your mind. I get more scared because I look at all the television footage that's not being shown every night, all night, across the country, where the country is burning down and nobody wants to look at it.
And the country is blinded. The country is left out. The country doesn't get...
Exactly, and that's the media's fault. The media is not doing its job.
And the media is regurgitating things that cause things like this. But they're not...
Well, they're taking with the media's job in this case. The media's job in this case is to... This thing is being very vividly portrayed, acted out each night for you on your television screens across the country, if the press was doing its job. But the press is not doing its job, so people are semi-oblivious. What?
They're not.
Oh, no, they're not objective. They're softening it over.
Well, the reason the media are doing that is because they want the MAGA people to be perceived as the violent crowd, not the left, for the trial of President Trump. Yeah, for President Trump's trial. And that's why the soldiers are there. There has not been one violent incident since the breach in Washington, and they're keeping the troops there to make it look like... No, I don't think so. I think it's decoration to make the trial look more valid. That it's still... Yeah, of course.
The most violent thing that there is sticking all those people in the garage on top of each other without masks and cause COVID manifestation amongst people that have protected you.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
The most violent thing, disgusting thing they've done, because they don't give a sh about anybody, and they just proved it.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, when they threw the soldiers out into the cold garage. Yeah. Yeah. But you know what though? Jill Biden brought them cookies that she didn't bake. Didn't you see that? Doesn't she care? She brought them cookies that somebody else made. Yeah, well, a doctor of English Lit or something. I don't know what it is. Education. Yeah. All right. Hey, listen. Thanks for your call. Oh, did you see that Biden has commissioned a commission to study the packing of the Supreme Court? They're putting together a commission. If we only talked about what surprised us, we would have nothing to talk about. Nothing Democrats do surprise me. You know. But yeah, but what does? There's one thing about it that surprises me. One member of it is Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh, who was appointed by President Trump to the court, and that he's on this part of this study to look at ways to fix the Supreme Court. See, what the left are going to tell you, and they've already talked about this. The court does not have enough diversity. It doesn't have enough diversity. It has, there's a lot of groups that are underrepresented or even not represented, like transgenders, for example, and things like this. So Pelosi says that the Supreme Court should be a better reflection of the population, and it's not. So, yeah.
I'll tell you one thing this court is not. It's not a reflection of conservatism.
Oh, that's for sure.
Sure.
No.
What a letdown.
Oh, yeah.
The most disappointing thing of this whole last period we've been through was when push came to shove with the Supreme Court bailed out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Kavanaugh should not even be a part of this Biden study into what to do with the Supreme Court. I mean, that gives legitimacy to it. And I promise you the study that Biden is commissioning is going to tell us that they need to add justices to the Supreme Court. And he'll find justices that are 2 weeks out of law school. They're 26 years old. That'll be there for 50, 60 years. And they'll have 12 justices. Ah, sure it does. Yeah. 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 It does matter. Yeah, no. But it does matter, because if they add 3 justices or 4 justices or 5 justices, the court will... No, on other issues, that's only one issue. On other issues, the court will lose its standing. It'll no longer be what it is. It'll be a Democrat rubber stamp. Yeah. 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 Well, listen. Yeah. Listen, we're going to take our break. When we get back, there's more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, Steve here. We'll be back right after this.
Steve Kane radio listeners love Champagne Automotive Repair in Boca.
I went over to Champagne Automotive, and I got to say that this man is the most fair mechanic I have dealt with in my entire life. We took a car over there that was not being used yet. It belonged to my 90-year-old dad. Everybody I had taken it to before was charging an astronomical amount of money. But when we took it over there, Eddie took
Steve Kane Show.
And I got to say that this man fixed the parts running like a charm. Anybody that needs a mechanic, I strongly recommend Eddie.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
The best thing that's happened to this family as far as car maintenance goes. It's fixed.
Okay.
Bottom line, it's fixed, and the price was right.
Champagne Automotive Repair in Boca will never do a repair on your car that your car doesn't need. And their prices are low. Champagne Automotive Repair in Boca. Give them a call. 561-245-8101. 561-245-8101.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for
All right, we are back. You're on the air. Go ahead, caller.
Yes. Hi. Yeah, I'm Sam from Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sam.
Yeah, the reason I'm calling you is what you're talking about right now is how what the courts are doing and everything like this. That gives me the opinion that Donald Trump is definitely going to lose. Even though I love Donald Trump, I want him to win.
What are you talking about? You're talking about the impeachment trial?
Yes.
What do you think they're going to do? What do you think the outcome will be?
They're going to impeach him, and it's going to go through.
Well, wait, hold on. Let's talk about what's up here, okay? Let's talk about this. He's already been impeached. That's what the House does. There's an impeachment trial coming in the Senate. They cannot remove him from office because he's no longer in office, right? So what will they do? That will be a loss for him. They can't remove him from office. What will they do?
Just declare him guilty and have it written down for the rest of future history that he's been guilty of impeachment 2 times in a row. Blah blah blah.
Well, they're probably, I think what they'll do, and they don't need the 60 votes for this or whatever they need. They're going to pass a resolution saying forbidding him from holding federal office in the future, which Alan Dershowitz says is not binding. It means nothing. But the media, yeah, but the media and the political establishment, including the Republican Never Trumper establishment, will say that it is.
I do not believe in the long run. I don't believe in the long run they're going to be able to cut Trump out that easily. I just don't believe it.
No, I
don't believe it.
They're going to try to find him guilty.
Well, of course, let them try. So far, how are they doing so far?
They look like a bunch of rats to me. I don't see anything other than.
I'm very unimpressed with what I see. I see a bunch of people scrambling around, trying as best they can to flail, to bring Donald Trump down. And I see Donald Trump doing what he always does, which is staying on top. He knows when to back off. He knows when, he has done a lot lately, I'll admit that. But it's going to take. That's what he's good at. Knowing when to move, when not to move.
He's great, but the news media is showing Biden to be like a wonderful guy, signing all these orders. This is looking so nice.
Do you think Biden's looking great with all the help from the news media? You're sitting here telling me that you think Biden's looking great?
I don't think so. He's an ugly, stupid idiot.
Well, I don't think so either. And I think when you start looking at polls, wasn't there a poll out fairly recently? When you look at the last poll showed that. Did you see a poll, Brian?
He's got 53% approval among Republicans to run again. I saw that this morning. Trump. This is pretty good. No, but you're missing. Listen. What's going on in the Supreme Court is criminal. They don't have a judge. You can't have a trial without a judge, okay? But when they pass a resolution saying that he is not able to hold federal office again, the political establishment and the media will run with that as if it's binding.
I think what's going to happen is what always happens. The left and the liberals are going to push
Steve Kane Show.
And push the boundaries and push the boundaries.
Steve Kane Show.
Further out and further out.
No,
and
hold on.
out, and more desperate until Joe Biden will show up in a poll, with 30 points or something. That's what I think is going to happen.
There's a lot of dumb people out here that just believe the news media. Really dumb. I went to university, by the way. I'm not talking about paper show. I'm talking people who went to university, graduated, and they're totally brainwashed into believing that this is what it's all about.
Well, listen, I appreciate the call. It's Steve. It's time to check in with William Youngerman with the Gold Report.
My favorite part of the show, we look around and you see what's happening in the world of finance today, a lot of craziness, but there is always stability with William Youngerman. William, of course, one of the leading experts on the planet when it comes to the precious metals. We are blessed to have William as a sponsor for the past 17 years. He's been advising clients on trends and movements.
CA17, $5 super chat. Thank you so much.
William, how are things looking today?
He's looking very good right now. The market's giving us that buying opportunity we talked about yesterday, and a lot of people took advantage of that. So I see our Steve Kane listeners still taking advantage of the dips in the precious metals whenever they come. But that was an opportunity yesterday as we saw gold get down to as low as $1,831. And then
Steve Kane Show.
Around and closed at $1,844.60.
Hello?
Still just down $6 on the day.
Yeah, hold on.
Silver got down to $24.68.
What do you want to talk about?
Back up to $25.28, down 16 cents.
Okay, hold on.
Down $36 at 1,058, and palladium was down $23 at 22.38. But today we've got a reversal. Gold all the way back up over $1,850 again. 1851 right now, up $6.40, while silver is up 54 cents at $25.82 the ounce. Platinum up $13 at 1,071, and palladium down $4 at $2,234. So again, the market's very stable in this. What we've said has been a consolidation phase. But when it breaks out, I think we might be looking at a possible breakout going forward the next couple of days or next week. That could take gold back up over the $1,900 number very easily.
Yeah, that's great news. And don't forget, with Valentine's Day right around the corner, William Youngerman has an incredible collection of jewelry and watches at incredible prices that are just about what the metal prices are. So you can find great deals over there on all of that. If you want to give him a call, they're open at William Youngerman 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. The number's toll-free, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. Online, williamyoungerman.com. And the address over there is 150 East Palmetto Park Road, which is just immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road on the first floor of the Bank of America building. William Youngerman, we will finish out the week tomorrow. Oh, good. Great. Oh, yeah. Yeah, just like yesterday, I saw that how they were manipulating the stock market with the theater stock and the GameStop stock. I mean, gee whiz. I love they're going after these guys that inflated the stocks, because only hedge fund managers, I guess, are allowed to inflate stock prices like that. All right, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. Good morning.
Oh, yeah, hi. My name's Alan.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just commenting on and by the way, I give you guys a lot of credit for coming on the air in this period of time where it's just, everywhere you turn, it's negative news. But I don't see where, Steve, you see any optimism in anything. I mean, Trump was always able to accomplish whatever he set out to accomplish, but look what the end results were.
So if I understand the gist of your call, you're telling me your view is that Trump's done.
No, I think he's done, but they're putting things in place right now that are...
Hold on. Isn't that a key? When push comes to shove, isn't that the key question here? Look, if Trump was done, and I thought what we got up till now is all we're going to get, I'd be discouraged too. I don't believe that. I believe that Trump is extraordinary. I don't want to wax eloquent to be, promoting Trump. I don't have to do that. He does a very good job of doing that himself. And all I know is I see it. I'm one guy. I just happen to, along with my partner Brian, we happen to have a radio show. As I see it, the Biden is a goof. And he's going to destroy himself. They always do. That's the history of it. They're not going to win. The American people are not going to buy it. The American people are going to get a good long look at what the Democratic Party has become, and I think they're going to walk away. I could be wrong. I'm not a scholar, but if you're telling me you'd rather put your money on.
See, what happened with Biden this week with these jobs, a huge chunk of them were union jobs. He's putting his own people out of work.
To catch up with him? Do you remember back in a couple of elections ago with Hillary? Do you remember when Hillary got up there and was promising, and she told the gold people they were...
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the coal miner. Yeah.
This election, last election, was I don't know what's an aberration. I mean, it was our voting system at its worst, and it's a work in progress. And I don't think it's over. And I'm not. You really tell me this battle that seems to just be the really think Biden in the long run is going to be that. Is that what you're telling me? Well, can you come out in the last race? Well,
Hey. Excuse you know you could not be more. Donald Trump probably has more power and influence today than he did 6 months ago, because remember, every member of the House is up for re-election in the midterms, and a whole bunch of senators are. And I'll tell you, Marco Rubio is one of them, and Marco Rubio is terrified that Trump's going to come out against him. That's why he's becoming a big defender of his during this impeachment trial. He has a lot of power as we approach the midterm elections. Hey, caller, thanks for calling. It's time to check in with Richard Pearl, whose show, Richard Pearl on Politics, follows the Steve Kane Show weekdays at 9 a.m. on this radio station. And, of course, his store, Simply Natural, is over there in the city of Sunrise. Richard Pearl, what do you got going on the radio today?
Talk about GameStop, the short squeeze of the century, and the damage it's doing to hedge funds. And me, being an ex-stockbroker, is loving it. While I've shorted stocks in the past, I don't try to destroy companies, which is what these guys do. And they're getting their butts kicked. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to go into a lot of other.
You know, I'm glad you're going to talk about the GameStop thing, because I was watching some of the financial TV on this yesterday. GameStop was a company about to go out of business, and their stock went up. Oh yeah, they will. And the stock. Yeah.
They're going to get a loan. They can take their stock, go to a bank, and get a loan. The problem is it's so volatile. They're only going to get a percentage of the value of the stock as a loan, to borrow against. But they can get a loan, so they can create money out of all this. So they probably won't go bankrupt. But they were heading out of this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, when I was watching Cavuto and some of these guys talking about GameStop yesterday, and it was AMC as well, only hedge fund managers in New York are allowed to artificially inflate stock prices. Anybody who does it outside of that area, it's a crime.
Deflate them more. You know, the people who trade stocks for the big firms, they trade in milliseconds. They hold stocks for less than a minute. This is high frequency trading. So there is no investing that goes on in America. That's a falsehood.
Yeah.
By Apple and so forth. But in terms of investing in general, it's not true. They look for trades, no different than what I do. The difference is I don't do harm to the market. I sell. If I short a stock, which is not that often, it's for the moment, and I don't downbeat it. I also don't have access to television like CNBC, and then I'm like Bill Akerman or one of those guys would come out and say something to support his position, his short position. And also, I sell naked options, which is, you know, again, not the same thing as what they're doing. They're taking positions where they're actually shorting more than the float. And when they do that, they're just killing the stock. And any move up, they slam it. So they manipulate it artificially because they have more money to do it than someone who's fighting to let the stock go higher. So they're artificially knocking down the stock. Then they'll plant stories to harm the stock will go down lower, and they'll kill it, and then at some point, the company might get broken up, and they'll buy the pieces and flip the rest out. That's what Bain Capital would do under Romney was a big destroyer of a lot of companies. And Bain, by the way, owns a lot of radio stations.
Yeah, they do. They do. Now, listen, before we run out of time, we got to tell everyone, listen, Richard Pearl's show, you got a little taste of what's going to be happening in just a couple of minutes. Richard Pearl's show, Richard Pearl on Politics, follows the Steve Kane Show every day at 9 a.m. right here on this radio station. And his store, Simply Natural, that just has an incredible selection of the best nutraceuticals on the planet, is located in the city of Sunrise, just north of Sunset Strip on the east side of University. They open up weekdays at 11 a.m. They close, 7 days a week. They open at 11 a.m. and close at 9. The number over there, 954-741-4045. All right, Richard, have a great show. We'll be tuned in. Steve, we're out of time, so if you want to say goodbye, we got just enough time.
All right, another show in the can, so to speak. We will be back tomorrow, as we are every Monday through Friday, starting at 6 a.m. Until then, on behalf of my wonderful son Tyler, who is our technical director here on the Steve Kane Show, Brian, of course, my partner and cohort, and the most important thing, you are valuable listeners. See you tomorrow, 6 a.m. God bless America.
We've got you covered. AM 1470, FM 95.3, 96.9. South Florida's FM Money Talk Radio Network. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
All right, that's it. We're off the air. Hey, listen, guys, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, all right? We're live every day from 6 until 9 a.m. Eastern on the radio. We stream here on YouTube while we're live. And I add my podcast up here. Just put a new podcast episode up yesterday afternoon. Check that out. And I live stream from my studio at home and when I'm out and about all the time, and add other content right here to this channel. So make sure you're subscribed and you click that notification bell. And everyone who sent in a super chat today, thanks so much for doing that. It's very much appreciated. All right, guys, thanks for watching.